Talking about old men fighting.
Old Men Battle Royale. I am so ready for this. I have waited all week. I got my coffee.
Oh, cool. Me too. Dunkin' me. But it's not. It probably tastes bad.
I've just been nursing this coffee for like 3 hours. Watched anime.
That's
I watched.
What
I
did you
watched
watch?
the latest Dyna Zenon.
Is it good? I've seen some screenshots.
It's
and
good.
It looks good.
It finally. I don't.
Is that
should
the
I
thing?
spoil you? It ties back to the previous series.
I love when that happens. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
It is under a 7 on Mal. It is a 6.91.
I think I finally figured it out why.
Why?
I think I thought about it, and I think like Studio Trigger, they come in for the action, not the slow burn.
Yeah.
So I think it's that it's the expectation, and they're mad about it. That like it's really like a more of a slow burn, character focused drama, maybe.
I feel like, you know what gets me is that there's so many shitty shows that are above a 7 that I'm like, like whatever. But like, why this one? You just look at screenshots of it and you're like, this looks so cool. There's obviously like, there's trucks fighting each other, and then people are still like, nah,
Yeah.
below a 7. I'm like, you guys let a lot of other shit slide. Why are you not letting this slide? Even though I think it should deserve a lot more.
Yeah. Welcome to the stream, guys. Whoever's on, take a seat, say hi.
Hey, yo. And if my audio sounds bad, please let me know.
Yeah, let us know if Shaw's got an upgrade, if it's a downgrade.
Keep me posted.
Oh, replay value just went live.
Oh no, is it Jeopardy time? Is he doing Jeopardy?
Yeah.
Damn it. Who's playing Jeopardy?
I gotta check.
Do I watch
his notification? I was like, oh well, hey.
Do we watch him while we were watching ours? That's our pre-show, is yelling at Jeopardy.
It's a reaction. Yeah.
I feel like he would appreciate that in a weird way. Be like, oh hey, we got more going on.
Randon Lewis says you sound great.
Oh, thank you.
So
you probably sound great too, Randon Lewis. I appreciate you.
You got the cosign. Let me.
Yeah, because when we did a Jeopardy, he was. I think he wanted to do 2, and I was like, no, it's just Weeb's time at 2. 2 on Saturday is just Weeb's hour, so I cannot do it. And then we got to do Jeopardy later on, but I think this is like their normal Jeopardy time, which is pretty fun.
Yeah, exactly.
I would love to go on again, but I'm gonna I think that I need like a game plan, and the game plan is being hooked up to my like internet directly, like no Wi-Fi, Ethernet cable. If that doesn't work, I'm doing it on my phone to like buzz in, because I know that Tay was at his girlfriend's and she has Google Fiber. So I am convinced that his reflexes plus her internet made him beat us all at buzzing in. Because I was buzzing in for like 80% of those questions, and I would always come in second or third. And I was like, oh, wow. It's not just me. My reflexes cannot be this bad. But I think we need, Onimaru, you need to go on Jeopardy. You need to avenge the show.
Only if we, we could tag team. Unless you can't do team battles,
you have to. I don't think you can. I don't know if you can. Have people done that on Jeopardy?
I don't know. Maybe they should. They should instate it. We should suggest it.
That would be fun. But I think you need to go on too, because like you can probably dominate.
Oh no, I'm not that great at trivia. Sorry, I saw some of those questions. I was like, mm-mm.
But I didn't know some of them. I think you probably knew a lot of them.
No, I was like looking at some of them. I was like, no. Like there was a few obvious ones that was like, okay, like you have to know that. But there's a few that I was like, never. I think you could.
But he also built some of it around our favorites. Like he incorporated some of our favorites. So I feel like with that, like they could get you, like something like Mob Psycho related.
Yeah.
Like I feel like obscure things about Mob Psycho that other people might not.
A little bit.
Yeah. See, you should have more confidence. I believe in you.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate the vote of confidence. Should we start or waiting for more people, or are you guys ready to start?
It's down for old men.
Oh, yeah, I keep forgetting. Like that's the other thing I have to keep in mind. There's a delay, so
yeah.
I'm like, why isn't anyone saying anything?
Why won't they let us know?
All right. Well, I am ready for some old men fighting. So
I just love this. Is like the people are like they need to make like a rap cipher.
Yeah, actually, that would be pretty good. A diss track.
That would be funny. I think that's how they need to settle it, not through anime movies or discussion, but just through diss tracks. It's the
Exactly.
only way.
It's the only way to do it. So let's do this. I think I'm going to start now. Welcome to the Just Weaves podcast. I'm Onimaru. This is Shocking with me, joining me. And today we're going to talk about, did I say this is the Just Weaves podcast? This is the Just Weaves podcast. I totally flubbed the line.
It's okay. We're just weebs.
And we're Just Weebs. And this week, something major happened. Something completely out of left field, took us by surprise. Acclaimed anime director Mamoru Oshii, or no, I fucked that up too.
Oshii? No, I think that's it.
Yeah. Well,
I think that's it.
He criticized acclaimed anime director Hideaki Anno. Well, okay, it wasn't really he didn't really criticize him. He kind of expressed his thoughts about him in an interview. And if you're not familiar with either director, Oshii is mostly known for Ghost in the Shell, which reached international acclaim long back in 1995, Angel's Egg, and I think Pat Labor. And I don't know if he's had anything like major in recent years. And then Hideaki Anno is mostly known for the Evangelion films, the Evangelion Rebuild films, and some other shows he worked on, like His and Her Circumstances and stuff like that, and work he did with Gainax. But pretty much the crux, the main thing about the article in the interview was that Oshii said that Anno doesn't have themes in his works. He basically, what he really was referring to was his visual style or avant-garde presentation is like nice, but that doesn't equate to having a theme. Like that's not the same thing. Just because you're kind of, I guess, expressing yourself, that doesn't mean it's a theme. What did you think about that, Shah, when you read that?
I love it because if you guys haven't read the article, we have it in the description on our YouTube stream in case you're watching it elsewhere. So we have it linked to the article, and what struck me was the article is actually more wild than the headline, which I don't think I've seen happen in a while. A lot of times they just kind of dress the headline to drive clicks. Yep. But when the headline is Oshii is saying Hideaki Anno is more of a producer than a director these days, which is kind of ridiculous to say this year since the last Rebuild film just came out. So 9 out of 10 times in any other year, you could kind of understand that. But this is him actually releasing his work this year. So that's kind of ridiculous. And then the sub headline, I don't know what to call it, the abstract for this article is Oshii says he creates films so that he can pick a fight with society. And he believes that Miyazaki does the same, even if he claims to create films for children to enjoy. So there's just so much to unpack before even getting to the meat of the article. But I think it's really interesting to see his insight because, I mean, as much as we will probably discuss us not agreeing with him, he's a very acclaimed, respected director in this space. He's definitely, a noteworthy industry figure. So when he says these things, it does carry a lot of weight to him. I'm sure that Anno respects him as well. So this isn't just a random call out from a random director. It definitely means a lot. And even if the directors in question don't respond to this and they might respond respectfully, it's just so unique that you see a Japanese director so blatantly calling out other people and saying he feels like they don't have a theme to their work. And when he elaborates on that, he says, to put it in a different way, I can't feel the fundamental motivation they have for creating films, which almost seems like more of an insult than saying they don't have themes.
Yeah, it's I don't think they want to do these films, But then again, in Anno's case, a lot of times it didn't feel like he wanted to do Evangelion, so maybe he's onto something. But, I think... And I think what he meant, because, he did say it's not really a criticism or something like that. And it was more of a just, commenting. It wasn't a bad thing. And I think Anno in recent years, since, he started Kara and he's been working on the rebuild films, he's gotten more into the business side. So
Mm-hmm.
that's more of what's made him, I think, a producer,
Yeah.
rather, even though he's still pretty much involved with the directing and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I think one of the things they were troubled with in Gainax, and I'm not too sure of the details, but I think I heard that it was the business side of Gainax that was kind of like their downfall. Like
Yeah.
they weren't good with the financials and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I don't know if that led to Anno getting more into the business side, because I know back then when he was working on Evangelion, he didn't really care about all that stuff. He just wanted to
Yeah.
work on his, on his what he was working on.
I don't blame him either, because if you're Evangelion, you're making all of this money, and then you're him and you're like, hey guys, I'm making all this money for us. I want to at least be able to like finish out my vision in the way I, originally planned when I'm making this money. Like, come on, let's get this shit together. So, I mean, I don't know the details either, but I could totally understand him wanting to take control of the business side more, especially when his work has made so much money.
Well, I've also heard he's also really good about paying his employees and wanting them
Oh,
to be well paid and stuff like that. And, so maybe that's also a factor in being able to do work that they're, truly kind of invested in doing, while also, making a living wage or something.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's cool. Good guy, Anno, looking
Yeah.
out for everyone. So I respect that a lot too.
Yeah, but in terms of back to Oshii and kind of saying that about Anno, like it was just kind of weird. Like it felt like it just like I don't know. It was one of those like, is he actually saying this? It felt so surreal. Because like I feel like in terms of what he's actually saying, in terms of Anno's visual style, like let's
Yeah.
take Evangelion as the clearest, most blatant example. Like a lot of it is self-expression. It's Anno pretty much
Hmm.
carving himself into the story and kind of trying to explore something within himself through Evangelion. And I think, and to say that like that's not conveying a theme, I can get it from one angle, but I think self-expression in itself is a theme, and Ava does have a theme. The theme at the end of the day is um, self-acceptance.
Yeah.
And and also kind of embracing like reality and all of that. But I think maybe what could be said about Anno's process to coming to that towards the end of Evangelion is that he wasn't sure what he wanted. I think I think it's clear that it was a very organic process getting there. And so he didn't have like a theme in mind, or maybe he just didn't know exactly what he wanted from the beginning, but he kind of just went along with it. And Anno has said something along these lines in interviews.
Hmm.
So maybe that's what Oshii's referring to. But then
Um,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think like going back to his idea on like picking a fight with society, which I take it as like that's the Oshii theme of like that's what a theme is, like picking a fight with society. I think that's kind of like something he views as a basis for making films. Like you can tell with Ghost in the Shell, there's trying to be some kind of like
Commentary.
commentary on society. I think it's interesting though because even though something like Evangelion is very self-reflective and like self-analytical and just self-expression, there is something to be said for a movie that shows the death threats the author the creator got as not picking a fight with society, and even expressing the idea of self-acceptance, acknowledging reality, kind of accepting those around you, and just the I think of like the hedgehog dilemma. That's
Yeah.
like the constant theme of like how even when you try and get close to people, it'll lead to hurting yourself, but it's still necessary to do. I think that is kind of like fighting society in a way, like fighting
Yeah.
the ideals of society.
Yeah, because maybe like in Oshii's mind, maybe it's Oshii's
Oshii?
mind is that
Oshii?
maybe to him a theme has to do more with again the society and the questioning like stuff around us, as opposed to kind of that internal, search for self or personal connection and all that stuff. Maybe that's not what he considers a theme, because
Yeah.
like Miyazaki always used his films, I think, that as a vehicle to kind of explore like issues with society, with the
Yeah.
environment, stuff like that.
Like
He
nonstop. Like
pushed his
almost every film.
his ideologies into the films and used
Yeah.
that as an art form to explore that.
Yeah.
and, marketed as children's movies, but
Yeah, I mean, like, I got to see, like, a lot of them, and the whole environmentalism thing is, like, almost a constant theme in his films. Like, he's, like, fighting society in almost half his films in some way.
yeah.
So, I think I think it's kind of funny. I do feel like this is kind of, like, the closest anime will get to, like, rap battles, and I feel like this is one of those things where, if Oshii's like one of the older rappers, it's like Miyazaki's like Jay-Z, and like they kind of want to criticize him, but they realize that they can't go full criticism because he kind of fits in like what their definition of themes are. So he's like, yeah, Miyazaki picks a fight, but he's just pretending it's for kids. So like he's
Yeah.
on my level, but he makes kid films. So it's like funny to see the like half compliment, half insult, backhanded compliment in a way.
Well, he didn't go after Miyazaki though, right? He
Not in
didn't.
this one. I think he
Yeah.
has before.
Oh, okay. And also, he actually went over. It wasn't just Anno. He went after
Yeah,
Mamoru Hosoda and
Shinkai.
Shinkai.
Yeah, so like every popular director, most of the popular directors of recent times, he's just like gone after them for saying they have no themes. And I know all the Shinkai haters are like, "Yes, I've been saying this. I've been waiting for this moment." And even as someone who has been kind of
Because
like not as
you're a Shinkai hater, aren't you?
I'm not a Shinkai hater
Okay.
because I'm sometimes I'm part-time Shinkai hater.
Okay.
It depends. But so even as a part-time Shinkai hater myself, I still disagree with the idea that he doesn't have themes. Like that's still like a ridiculous notion even if you don't connect with his themes. There's obviously this ongoing theme of like forming relationships in modern society being driven apart by space and time and circumstance and like just the like melancholy situation
Yeah.
of like things not working out, which is what connects with so many people and why his films are so successful, you know?
Yeah, I
like
think
it's
it
a theme.
always starts with a feeling with Shinkai. Like
Yeah.
it's something that hurt him,
Yeah,
as
he
a
got
joke,
hurt.
but
He got hurt.
he wants to convey like this sense of like you said, melancholy, like a longing, like something like that. And I think that forms the rest of his work. But it's always out to kind of each movie kind of deals with a different feeling. Like I remember when I didn't watch it actually, but what was it, Garden of Words, when that was
Yeah,
coming out?
I love that.
I think he said in an interview or something, like he was trying to convey like a specific feeling that's like like I don't know, long forgotten or something from like a yearning or something from like long ago or something like that. Yeah, it was hard to articulate, but
that's my favorite Shinkai film. He was also definitely trying to convey he has a foot fetish, but we can get into that another time.
My friend was telling me that because she watched it and she was just like, all she got from it was just foot fetish the movie. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm not checking it out.
No, it's really good. It's like 40 minutes too. It's so short. It's
Really?
definitely worth
Okay.
it.
You
Yeah,
know, my first, not to derail too much here, but my first Shinkai film, without knowing it was a Shinkai film, just because we're talking about his films being short, was Voices of a Distant Star. I had rented that at a Blockbuster.
It looks like a Blockbuster, something
Yeah.
you got at Blockbuster
Yeah.
on a whim.
Yeah, and I didn't know it was just 30 minutes. It was like a full film, but in 20 minutes. And those 20 minutes or 25 or 30 minutes, those fucked me up.
Oh, yeah.
I was me up real bad.
I haven't seen that film, but also I know that he made that like single-handedly. Like every part of that was he made on his own.
Oh, really? Like the animation?
Yeah, like everything. I think he made everything by himself. I think it was just like his project, which is pretty ridiculous. Like that's actually kind of insane. Yeah, you look at it, directed, produced, written. I think the music might be someone else, but everything else, that's all him.
That's insane. A 30-minute film. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's just like kind of crazy. But I haven't seen that, but I saw when B, formerly known as Digibro, made a video on Makoto Shinkai's, like this big retrospective on Shinkai's like history. They kind of commented on like every film they made, and Voices of a Distant Star seems to kind of like, I haven't seen it, but so let me know if I'm right or not, that it kind of really personifies that theme of, technology, space and time getting in between a love story, getting in between romance. Because I remember it was like sending text messages to each other, but then it takes like years or something for them to get it.
Oh, yeah, no, it absolutely personifies that. It's like the long distance relationship at its worst.
Yeah.
Its worst form, its final form.
Yeah, like it seems like that's like the Makoto Shinkai emotional essence. And I
Yeah.
feel like that is a theme, even though,
Because it's like all about waiting, like you're
yeah.
waiting to get the response. And that's, I think, and it even applies even more so today, inherently, the issue with technology and social media, you end up feeling more lonely. So
Yeah.
it doesn't delve too deep into that, but I think it can apply.
It was ahead of its time. And, you see a lot of that, and also 5 centimeters per second.
Yeah.
Those themes are very evident. I
And that's why when Your Name came out, there was some scenes in Your Name, like towards the end, where it's reminiscent of 5 centimeters per second.
Everyone's like, happy ending, happy ending, happy ending.
Yeah.
Like,
but then he was like, all right, I've turned the new leaf. You get a happy
you guys
ending.
you guys get a happy one. So I think it was well earned if you've seen also all the Shinkai films and you're like, we finally got one. Happy
got it. But in terms of, I feel like to wrap it up for specifically Shinkai, I do feel that he is tackling themes there. They're just, I think, more personal,
They're very personal, and I can understand if some may feel superficial, but I think at the end of the day, when you look at his history, you look at what he's trying to accomplish, there are definitely emotional themes at play that do relate to society and relationships as a whole. And it might be a bit more grounded than some people might like. It might be too grounded for them, or maybe it's too melodramatic for them, whatever. But like, definite themes at play, even if they don't connect with you. So I don't think it's like a productive discussion to be like, Shinkai has no themes, even though our definition of themes that we're using right now is different than what Oshii is talking about with themes. But like, it is a sentiment you've seen before. Like, Makoto Shinkai his work are like superficial. They don't have deep themes, and I don't think that's necessarily accurate.
Yeah, because again, it isn't just a theme in its simplest form, just a topic, something that it's really tackling and carrying out throughout the work. Maybe they feel like it meanders a bit, and that's why they feel like the theme maybe loses its power. I don't know, but but specifically with Mamoru Hosoda, who did Wolf Children, of course, also Summer Wars and the Digimon movie.
Girl Who Leapt Through Time recently.
Girl Who Leapt Through Time. Yeah, that was a good one.
I didn't see Boy and the Beast.
I did not see that one.
I have to see that. And then I saw Mirai, which I think was nominated for an Oscar.
It was, but I actually heard that wasn't that good.
It's my least favorite film of his. Definitely, like, not my favorite of his, but I mean, like
I heard people were mad at that. It robbed some other films because Mirai wasn't as good. Or maybe I'm thinking of another film. I don't know.
No, I think that's it. But like, I don't know. Just because Mirai was nominated doesn't mean like the absence of Mirai would have made like another anime film would have taken its place. It's not like interchangeable like that. I think it was just Mirai is a very accessible film. Right. I think it's accessible for a broader audience.
But let's tackle one that clearly has themes. Wolf Children.
Wolf Children, the GOAT. You like Wolf Children, right?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't like Wolf? So we're switching sides. I remember this.
So,
I was like, I don't think he likes Wolf Children.
I mean, okay. To be fair, like, I get Wolf Children. I don't hate it. I gave it like a 7 out of 10. But like, it wasn't the 10 out of 10 experience that I was led to believe. So,
which I gave it.
Yeah, exactly. But I get what it's going for, and I can clearly say it's there's themes there. It's all about, in its simplest form, motherhood and sort of raising these children, and it extends to all of these other things, but that's the theme. I think if any movie does a great job of illustrating like kind of the growing pains and also the difficulty of being a parent, I think Wolf Children does it really well. So
yeah, I think it also relates a lot to society and the different roles that people can play, because one of the growing pains of the two children who are like half wolf, half human is them kind of choosing their path in life. It's like, do I go towards more of like a human society, or do I lean into my wolf side and become more attached to like the ecosystem and like, I don't know what the not animal kingdom, but essentially like fellow wolves, fellow animals. So like, that's also something that relates to like the roles that people have to split in society. And even if we're not literally wolves, we can relate to the idea of like having different roles that we have to follow, different paths we can take. It's interesting. It's like can be applied to many different things. So We see more
Yeah.
themes.
Yeah, no, especially like it's all in that ending where without spoilers, but like where the son has to kind of choose his path. And I was like, staring from like a distance, like this is powerful. Not for me,
Yeah,
but I can see how it's powerful.
that's kind of the worst feeling is when you're like, if I was into this, I would love this right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like it's probably due for a rewatch. I gotta give some
It
stuff
is
another.
Mother's Day tomorrow.
Oh shit, that's right. I
But
keep
maybe
forgetting.
my mom will watch Wolf Children with me again. I showed it to her and I was like sobbing at the end because I'm like, Mom, I love you. And she's like, look how pretty this looks. Look at the snow. And I was
I
like,
feel like if I watched it with my mom, she'd be like, see, now do you get it? Now do you get what I go through? I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
she
Jesus
she
Christ.
like guilt trip you throughout the film. Like, look, I did that.
See what I'm like, I don't need to empower you anymore.
Yeah, it's like, Mom, this is supposed to be cute. I don't need the guilt trips going on right now.
But if there's any movie that if I'm ever gonna get my mother into anime, I think that's the safest bet because I really just want to do Evangelion, but maybe that's just it's not gonna work out. So
This is the pathway to Evangelion. It's
yeah,
like
it's
Wolf
like
Children, see how she
Evangelion.
feels.
How
Then
do you
even
feel about motherhood here? You like that? Okay, let's go reverse side of the coin. How do you feel about this type of motherhood?
well, I was thinking that scene of like Hana, the mom, with like the dad in wolf form that people get kind of creeped out on. Like, see how she feels about that. Then you're like, okay, Mom, you can handle that. Evangelion hospital scene, easy transition. They're both human.
Easy,
It's fine.
easy. I'm gonna
It's
walk out of the room while this plays. You can watch that, and then you let me know how that
yeah,
goes.
it's like yeah. We just don't comment on this.
Yeah, just silence.
Yeah.
But back to Evangelion, Hideaki Anno. So Wolf Children clearly has themes, I think. Hosoda's films have themes. Summer Wars was clearly about family. I mean, I'm simplifying it a lot because I
Yeah,
vaguely remember, but it was at its core about that theme about kind of family and stuff like that.
family, and then like the use of technology and like how people can be like over reliant on technology and how like placing too much, I think maybe placing too much importance on that can like hinder everything, but like coming together as a family, as society can really help. I think, I don't
Yeah,
know, it was
there you go. That's a better way of
I,
putting it. But
I don't know, I kind of forget some of it because someone just said it's Digimon movie minus Digimon and then
it
that's how
is.
I
It
think
really
of it in
is.
my
It
head.
really feels like the Digimon movie. It's
Yeah,
kind of the same thing. But I really enjoyed Summer Wars. So
I
I don't
loved
know.
it too. I loved it. I think it's really fun. I think it's a good movie. Yeah, and I think it's interesting because when we think about themes, I think we both are kind of on the same page that like the existence of themes is not a good or a bad thing. It just kind of is. Like you can have themes in your work and that doesn't inherently make it good. It's like the utilization of certain themes.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like I think it's I think it's interesting that the examples used were like Hosoda, Shinkai. Anno is just like such a weird inclusion. I'm gonna like leave that out here for now. But like Hosoda and Shinkai, those are two directors who are expressing feelings, everyday emotion, very grounded sense of love, family relationships. And I think it's very easy to kind of overlook the importance of their work and just kind of brush it off as like superficial or not complicated, whatever. But like those are films that really connect with people on an emotional level. And I
Yeah.
think it's a bit unfair to just say like they don't have themes or importance to them just because it's not the traditional like over the top, we're not talking about like aliens fighting the planet. We're not talking about ship blowing up. We don't have a lot of, you know, what am I thinking of? Like apocalyptic like action that are challenging the fundamentals of society. But
Yeah.
like, a lot of times that's not the most relatable to people. A lot of times it is kind of like expressing the feelings you have for your mom or expressing the feelings of family or like that missing that like melancholy of missing a relationship. Like
Yeah.
those things are relatable. And I think it's fair to find a lot of value in those.
Yeah, because it does. Well, it has supernatural elements, like you
Yeah.
said. It's grounded in the daily life,
Yeah.
as opposed to Evangelion, where it exemplifies those
Hmm.
feelings in world-ending,
Yeah.
sort of explosive fury, in its visuals. But I feel like the argument, in that case, if we're back to Anno and Evangelion and Oshii's comments is like it's kind of like saying like Anno's more style over substance. Like I feel
Which
like
is
that's
like,
what it boils down to. Like it's maybe I'm like oversimplifying, but it kind of is that because he's saying like, oh, avant-garde presentation doesn't equate to having a theme. It doesn't equate to him actually
which
trying to say something.
which is ridiculous since he made Angel's Egg.
Yeah,
He
which
made Angel's
I
Egg.
actually have a great. I was once speaking with someone who's like a really big fan of Evangelion, similar to
Yeah.
me, and he had watched Angel's Egg, and I was kind of asking him like, oh, is it worth it? Because I've heard the symbolism is really good, and he kind of gave me an interesting answer to describe it. Let me see if I can find it. But in the meantime, while I'm looking for that, someone in the chat says, Shah, are you subtly dissing Ghost in the Shell?
I was not subtly dissing Ghost in the Shell, but now I will overtly diss Ghost in the Shell and say that. So I don't really hold this against Oshii. I'm gonna watch Angel's Egg, by the way. I haven't seen most of his films besides Ghost in the Shell, so I'm not gonna really hate on his style or anything. I just think it's ironic that he's calling out avant-garde presentation when like Angel's Egg is probably like in the dictionary next to avant-garde presentation from what I've seen. But so I think Ghost in the Shell is like a decent movie, and I respect that it is a masterpiece in the sense that like it was groundbreaking for animation. It's a pop culture landmark. It's iconic. It's left its mark on the industry. If you came up with a list of like 20, 50 things to see as an anime fan before you die, it 100% has to be there. So all the respect to its accomplishments and the craft that went into it, but personally I don't like connect with it that much because I feel like a lot of the thematic presentation is so heavy-handed. Like they have characters sitting around literally asking each other like, "Hey, what does it mean to be human?" And I think that's really heavy-handed in a way that I don't find super
With
interesting.
Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even though I think this like subject matter and concept is really interesting, but I'm not a fan of the way it goes about exploring the philosophical psychological subject matter. So, I love the Ghost in the Shell aesthetic. I mean, The Matrix is one of my favorite films and that was heavily inspired by Ghost in the Shell, so like that aesthetic is my jam. Like that's me. But I'm just not super into how Ghost in the Shell went about presenting those. And caveat, I've not seen Standalone Complex, but I'm sure I'm going to love it.
Yeah, I just looked up Standalone Complex before this just to see if Oshii had any involvement with it, which I didn't think he did. I think he mostly
Mhm.
does or only does films. I don't know, but
Yeah,
yeah, he didn't have any thing to do with it. So, which
gotcha.
I hear that most of the big Ghost in the Shell fans actually love Standalone
Standalone
Complex.
Complex. Yeah, because every
Um,
time I'm like, yeah, Ghost in the Shell was like, okay, but not great for me. They're like, how about Standalone Complex? I'm like, not yet. And they'll say, like, okay, go watch that. So,
but I think like literally, I feel like not literally, but I feel like Oshii's Ghost in the Shell is just so good for what it did for anime at the time as a feature
yeah.
film that hit an international audience, and its animation, the technology, everything like in it, like it's such a, like you said, the aesthetic, but
Yeah.
in terms of the themes, I don't think it's like remembered much for the exploration so much as the
Well,
themes. It
that's
just was a starting point for that.
well, that's the thing is people bring up like when they talk about it, once they get past how, the aesthetic, the background art, how it looks, how it's presented, the directing, all of that, they're like, yeah, it's actually a very philosophical film. And I'm like, okay, but when you actually get into that, you got two characters on a boat saying, what does it mean to be human?
What does it mean to be human? Anyways, actually, I want to go on to Angel's Egg because I did find
You
this
found the thing.
response. It's interesting because I had asked, hey, in terms of because I do like symbolism and I like that stuff.
I
In
do.
terms of
I love the
Evangelion,
Angel's Egg screenshots I've seen. I looked at that and I'm like, yo, that looks cool. I'm probably going to like this.
yeah, and let me know in the chat if you either agree with this response, heavily disagree. You could correct,
Yeah. To
not
all the
correct, but
Angel's
just give us
Eggers.
your take. Because he basically said Evangelion in general has more meaningful imagery than Angel's Egg, mostly because Angel's Egg is kind of a cynical approach to the meaning of its symbols. Ava is more sincere and is rooted in something real, whereas Angel's Egg is rooted in a particular viewpoint that has no basis in reality. Ava is working through the shadows in order to get to the self. Angel's Egg mistakes the shadow for the self. Angel's Egg is Oshii's edgy teenage rebellion fever dream. People flock to it as being quote unquote deep only because most people understand depth superficially and they mistake edginess for meaningfulness.
Do you know this person or is this a review?
No, I was, this is someone I know online.
Oh, that's pretty dope. They
Yeah.
seem kind of, they're
Someone on
kind
my
of,
Discord.
someone snapped, yo. They should. Give him a shout out. That's like very well articulated. I don't know
He's really pretty well articulated.
what a goat. Um,
Yeah,
me saying like random words, like he says like this articulate. It's like it's a shadow of the stuff. I'm like, yeah, goat. Kino, good job.
yeah. Kudos for that, and that single handedly turned me off watching Angel's Egg.
Really? Because he was like people just. Why did it turn you off? Because if that makes me really interested, just the way they just
No, because
described
like
everything.
I don't know, like it made me feel like oh well, like because if I was expecting, so if I came at it like expecting something like meaningful, like Evangelion, and then
Hmm.
like in terms of its symbolism, and then to know that oh that's not what I'm getting in Angel's Egg, I'm like okay then there's nothing probably there for me. But in terms of
Gotcha.
now, if we're doing this whole comparison, trying to figure like now that Oshi's criticizing Anno, then now I'm curious. Now I'm like okay, let's
Now the gauntlet has been thrown down, so you're like, okay, let's see your avant-garde imagery and see what's up.
yeah yeah
Yeah,
yeah.
'cause-
So
yeah, and I've definitely been interested in Oshi's work for a while. Like, I think a lot of them, at least in my head, like someone in chat said, what is it? What's the one I keep forgetting all the time? Yurusei Yatsura. It's like that rom com where he did the movie, like he did like the second movie for it that's not related to the original story.
mhm.
I think I'm saying it wrong, but you know that like original rom com from like the 80s with the girl with the horns.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yurusei Yatsura,
Or it's a Yasura. Yeah,
the
he
creator of
did that.
Ranma One Half, the work before Inuyasha and Ranma One Half.
Yeah, yeah. So I wanted to. I heard about that, and that seems really interesting. And I know he worked on that, and I always find it interesting when um maybe this is a me thing. I don't know. I think it's really interesting when like sci-fi, like hardcore, like directors work on like rom-com stuff. So like I was super interested in Karigano because I'm like Ano and like Evangelion and Karigano, like you wouldn't really think of those two in like the same sentence. So now I'm like Ghost in the Shell and
But
Yurusei Yatsura. That's like kind of
but what's interesting about that, and the reason I haven't checked out the movie, even though I am interested in it, is because I never watched the original series, so I
yeah,
figured it was
yes.
like a
Got to do that
sequel.
first and then
I
get to the movie.
need context, and I know that one's like really iconic, especially the the female character Lum.
She like invented tsunderes or whatever.
Yeah. But actually, on the note that you said about kind of like a director that usually tackles like technological stuff, Yurusei Yatsura came before everything else. It was
Yeah, that's true.
1981. So this is like, I think his first film out of like
Yeah.
college or one of his first before he became like, known for Pat LeBur, Angel's Egg,
Yeah.
Ghost in the Shell, etc. So that's
Yeah.
interesting.
That is interesting. I'm down to check it out. I'm excited to check out all his work actually. I like seeing a director's full catalog. I think it's really cool. So
Yeah.
so even like lukewarm feelings towards Ghost in the Shell, it's not even like I mean, I guess I kind of look like a hater by default because I'm not giving it a 10 or something, but like,
Yeah.
no disrespect to him, no hate, no hate. I'm super super enthusiastic and interested to see what else he's worked on.
Yeah, because it's just interesting to get into director's head and kind of like
Yeah.
you find that out more as you go through their body of work as opposed to just seeing like one film.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I learned more about Anno's process when I was looking into like the live action films like he
Yeah.
tackled after Evangelion, and like there was like some kind of sort of like documentary on it where he'd like say a few things and talk about it, and through the whole process he was just saying like, and that's what I mentioned earlier, like he didn't know what he wanted, so he
Mhm.
kind of kept like shooting stuff, scenes, making the actors and the actresses redo all these shots because he just wasn't sure what it was that he wanted to do with it. But he was kind of trying to search for it as he was creating it. And I think that's his just general approach.
Something random, but do we know if Anno is doing okay these days? I know he was not well during Evangelion times, but how is he doing these days?
Yo, you talking mentally or
Yeah,
physically? Like with his
mentally.
health? I think he's okay. I think, well, he,
We don't know, but shot
no,
in the
like,
dark.
well, recently I saw that after he just wrapped up on Evangelion, the latest film, he's just like done with it. Like he's like
He's
there was, like,
done
an
with
interview-
Evangelion.
Yeah, like there was an interview about like, do you have any attachment to the series? Like, nope, absolutely not.
That must be so tough. You do something for like 25 plus years on and off, and that's just like it's everywhere, it's your thing. And like, especially this last film, I'm not sure what caused so many delays or the delay in general, like fair, whatever, no pressure, but it must be just nice to be like, okay, now I've moved on. I've grown up. Not grow up, but just at a new place in life.
Yeah. Like I feel like every time he revisited Evangelion, well, he said every time he has to revisit Evangelion, it's just like painful for
Yeah,
him.
because it's like his like imagine if you have to like relive the culmination of your mental trauma for like 25 plus years and then you have like you probably have feel great because like so many people connect with it and it's become so iconic for people, but at the same time you're kind of like I'm glad you guys love it, but like yo, this really hurts.
Well, it doesn't I don't think he feels great about it because
Oh yeah.
he people, misconstrued the meaning.
Yeah.
So it's iconic
Mhm.
for people for all the reasons he didn't want it,
Oh yeah,
to be
that actually
iconic for
does
them.
suck. You know, for you
So
mean for like all the waifus and shit? Yeah,
yeah.
that
Like
sucks ass. That
like
just
that's
sucks.
that's why it's iconic, That's why the merch and everything. They took Evangelion as at surface value, and that's why he did that. I don't know. You saw that music video he directed back in 2015 called "Me Me Me,"
Oh,
where
I didn't see that
you've
actually.
definitely probably seen if you've watched a lot of anime YouTube videos. There's always they use that scene of the Evangelion figurine kind of looking up with like red eyes, and it's Rei Misato, and
Yeah, yeah.
that's from that.
Oh,
You,
cool. Heard about Me Me Me, and then I never watched it. And every time I think about watching it, I'm like at work, and I heard it's like not safe for work. So then I'm like,
it's
put
not.
it off, and so I put it off again because I don't want to watch it on my work laptop. And then I
Yeah.
never remembered to do it when I'm at home. So
Yeah, you
I will
should
do that soon.
watch when you get a chance. But pretty
Yeah.
much like that's 2015 Anno, already during the
Yeah.
rebuild, and still it still bothers him.
Oh my
Roger
gosh, I feel bad for him.
Roger Smith in the chat says, I do recommend
So
checking out the NHK documentary on the making of the last rebuild film. You get a very interesting idea of Anno's thought process. So that's the one I think I saw screenshots for, where he was like, I'm just done with Ava.
that's cool.
Um, so yeah, and actually, while we're on the subject about what constitutes a theme, what is avant-garde presentation, visuals, like sort of like lesser is self-expression, sort of lesser. There's something else in the Western world that's kind of similar, which we've touched on before we got on this podcast. It's well, at least me and Shah when we were
Yep.
talking about Martin Scorsese's comment on Marvel films. Like this was like 2 years back, saying,
Hmm.
or even like it's not even just him. It's just it's been in the discourse where people
Yeah.
don't consider Marvel films cinema. He was just kind of one of the most acclaimed people to validate the Marvel
Yeah.
dissenters, that it's not cinema. It's Marvel movies are kind of killing the cinema industry, the art form, stuff like that. What are your thoughts on it, Shah? Let's unpack that.
I think it's so funny because I never thought of Marvel films as having some kind of a boomer enraging kind of badassness to it. But I guess Marvel films must be the new rap music if they're destroying the medium. It's like whenever someone says something about like it's destroying the medium, I'm like, damn, it just got so much more street cred for existing. Like, is this like the WAP of films where like, it's like destroying society and it's just Marvel films? You know, it's like, why is it the Marvel films and not like Transformers or like, you know, the
Yeah.
new Jurassic Park sequels or like whatever. Anyway, that's a bit more of a rant, but um I think it's an interesting thing because it comes back to like, Oshii saying themes. So we're like, okay, what are themes? Um what does Martin Scorsese mean by cinema? Like what are we
Yeah.
talking about in terms of that? Is he talking about artistic risks being taken in cinema? I think that's what he was referring to.
Yeah.
But if we're going to go that route, it's like, okay, let's look at so many, like 90% of the films out there that I think are made for like a blockbuster Hollywood audience that are like continuously being remade. Are those cinema? Like, why is it just the Marvel films? And I think
Yeah.
it actually invalidates a lot of interesting elements of the Marvel films because even if you're not like a Marvel fan, like you don't have to be a superhero fan, you might not find them that interesting, et cetera, et cetera. The Marvel universe is doing a lot of things that we haven't seen in other films before in terms of crossover and scale and just like the wide variety of talent we're seeing in individual films culminated over like 20 years of filmmaking,
Yeah.
which even if you might not like appreciate the process in which they're made, like the cinematography, the sound design, the storylines, like even if you're not a fan of that, like we are seeing new unique things from the Marvel films, which I think is worth praising. I think that's really cool to see all of that come together. Meanwhile, you look at so many other franchises that are super successful that don't incorporate themselves in the same way or take the same amount of risk, so to speak, in challenging, storylines, crossovers, whatever. So I think that there's a lot to praise with Marvel films, but I think a lot of the criticism towards Marvel films can be aimed at like 90% of the shit out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like, again, what I not again, I actually didn't say it yet, but with Marvel films, I love that culmination factor, that
Yeah.
whole like it feels like, we've been watching this, we've been along for the ride, and this is
Yeah.
like the evolution where it continues on and it picks up from the last thing, and the
Yeah.
continuity. That's not anything that's ever been done before. And on that
Yeah.
level, in this scale, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But I get where Martin Scorsese was coming from on his
Hmm.
comments. I did a little more reading on it, and
Yeah.
I think he wrote a piece for the New York Times, like elaborating on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw that.
But pretty much he was mostly talking about, the cinema that he fell in love with, where it's treated more as an art form and there's more specific design, like sound design, intent.
Yeah.
It's more about the human moments and the connection over the spectacle being the
Hmm.
centerpiece, because all the human moments that there are, there's emotional beats in Marvel movies, but those are just kind of there to kind of accompany, the main, part of it, which is more
Yeah.
focused on the action and the thrill and the experience of that, as opposed to those human moments being the actual thing that the film is trying to convey, where it's building up to. And he basically he likened the Marvel movie, the MCU experience, as to theme park
Hmm.
amusement rides, which there's nothing wrong with that, but he says that's not cinema. It's just a different category. It's a new form that shouldn't be equated to the same thing.
Yeah, I think that's interesting too to see because like I agree with you that there's like a lot of valid points in that, but I think it is I think it's interesting because when I think to the Marvel universe, when you said the human moments, the first moment I think of is in Winter Soldier when Tony Stark finds out the truth of how his parents were killed.
Yeah.
Like that whole scene might be my favorite scene in the whole like Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that's a character moment that's been built upon from like 5 to 6 movies. You
Yeah.
know, that's something that these character developments that we see across multiple films, both in like the character centered film and in the side story and in the Avengers films, like we're seeing a lot of character development in a way that we don't often get to see in films because they don't span a long enough time period with different stories. And that's something that's very specific to TV series, we both seen The Sopranos, we see character development over multiple seasons. That's
Yeah.
not something you get in films, and that's something I think we do get from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So that's a bit more on like the depth of storytelling and character writing that might not be, in line with what Scorsese is talking about with cinema. But I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of like depth that can be overlooked when trying to equate it to just like a spectacle. I think there's more to it than being a spectacle. And my source on that is I have seen the Transformer films and Fast and Furious, which are literal spectacles. Like I don't think people would say that Fast and Furious has the same emotional depth as the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I mean, it has a few moments of emotional depth, but compared to Marvel, it does end up sometimes seeming superficial.
Yeah, I mean, it is about family, but
Yeah, La
two different
Familia.
types of family. And that's not to hate on Fast and Furious. I think Fast and Furious is fun and they just like they know what they're doing and they're just going to launch cars off a fucking building. Like
Yeah.
they know what's up. They know what they're doing. But I think it is kind of like dismissive to just say that the Marvel films are just
No,
spectacles.
they're clearly trying to do something. There is an intent, but the intent isn't rooted in like the art form. It's more of the making the comics like best come to life.
Yeah.
And I think it works. But I also, at least for Scorsese specifically,
Yeah.
and he is one of the pioneers of cinema and film as an art form. So if anyone has any right to say anything, it's him. But I think he's more on the definition, and this doesn't address the other Marvel dissenters that exist. But for him, I think because he also addressed apparently long form storytelling, like The Sopranos, like
Yeah.
Breaking Bad, like stuff with multiple episodes like that. he doesn't consider that cinema either. He thinks
He
that's
just has a
different
very
too.
specific definition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And I think that's really fair because he also elaborated. He's like, guys, I'm not invalidating the existence of this. I'm just talking about this very specific thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because and like I guess and if he had a gripe with anything, I think it's implied, or maybe he did actually say it. I don't know, but I think the gripe it comes from Marvel movies and there being so many, and
Hmm.
this being it's taking a lot of room in theaters and leaving now less space. Like the franchise films are taking more space up in theaters and theater screens and leaving less space for the more indie or more cinema art form type of films that are like
Yeah.
kind of one off, because now franchise films with continuity and sequels and reboots are being prioritized, which is an argument that's been had over like so
Yeah.
many times over the past 10, 12
Yeah.
years. But
Yeah. Marvel did not invent franchise films. They didn't invent sequels. They didn't invent, they didn't
yeah,
invent taking over the artistic space of films. And I think, you know, he definitely knows more than I ever will, like, random fucking weeb talking about it. But like, I think it's like, that just seems like a problem with the system that they're in. And I think he commented on how great it is that Netflix exists because they're giving that space to other indie creators who are trying to make more traditional, like, cinematic. They're making cinema, like taking those artistic risks. So
yeah,
I think he was commenting on how like it's cool that these streaming services are giving a platform to them outside of like theaters, which I think is cool. So if anything, I feel like now there's just more of everything. Like there's more options, there's more choices, there's more vehicles for distribution. So it's not Marvel or franchise's fault for existing now that we have just more options in general for cinema to exist.
yeah. Because like now that's how he was able to get the 3-hour film, The Irishman, on
Yeah,
Netflix. When I don't know if he could, I think it was only
yeah,
like limited release in theaters, but
yeah.
he was able to get it all on Netflix. So that worked
Did you
out for
watch
him.
that?
No, I didn't. I never got around to it. Did you?
Me neither. No.
Yeah.
I,
I don't know. I heard 3 hours. Like, I'm all right.
I heard it was like
To
what,
be
like
honest,
decent.
what was that?
I heard it was like decent, but like 3 hours.
Yeah, I don't know. And to be honest, I still have to get to a lot of Scorsese movies because I
Yeah.
unfortunately haven't watched many of them. So, I'm going to prioritize those.
Which ones have you seen?
I was just checking before this and I'm like,
Yeah.
shit, I actually have not seen as many as I thought. I literally saw
Yeah.
only The Departed, which was insane,
Yeah.
and parts of The Wolf of Wall Street. That's
Oh,
it.
interesting. So you haven't seen like Goodfellas.
I haven't seen Goodfellas. I haven't seen Raging Bull. I haven't seen
I haven't
Taxi Driver.
I haven't seen Raging Bull and Taxi Driver, but I have seen The Departed, Goodfellas, and Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
not sure if I saw another thing he did. No, I mixed that up with something else.
I mean, I think I have to watch Goodfellas just because now I've seen The Godfather, all three of them. I've seen The Sopranos, and they always reference Goodfellas. It's like, all
Yeah,
right.
I think I just have a weird thing. I mean, no disrespect at all. After I saw The Sopranos, I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'm good on mafia films. I feel like after I've seen The Sopranos, it's like I've closed the book on mafia films. I've
Yeah.
seen them, I've lived them, I've heard them referenced my entire life from my Italian family. They've quoted them in the voices. I've evolved past the need for mafia films.
Mm, yeah. I mean, I feel like I just have to watch Goodfellas on principle, just because it,
Oh
it
yeah,
is
yeah,
praised as one of his best films. But I
yeah.
am, after getting through 4 seasons of The Sopranos, I am pretty much there. I'm done.
You're pretty much, yeah. And I feel
I,
like I feel like The Sopranos is almost like a postmodern look on mafia films or
yeah.
like the mafia mindset. And
In
there's
a
that
more
commentary.
slice of life
Yeah,
daily setting, and what
yeah,
better place than to set it in Jersey for
yeah.
that?
I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if you'll appreciate my Jersey dabbing, but I said
Oh,
the
the Turnpike thing.
yeah.
I saw that. I liked it. It was good on
Thank you.
Twitter.
Thank you. No one understands just how great of an accomplishment it is to make the Jersey Turnpike look like a mood or an aesthetic when it's like the greatest shithole on this planet and it's so miserable. It's like hell on earth.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to get into it, but
The Jersey pod will happen.
uh, in terms of in terms of Marvel films and the Marvel franchise, away from Scorsese and away from it not being cinema, how do you? I think you've already expressed, but how do you feel about it? Do you like Marvel?
I love Marvel
How do you
films.
feel about people being down on it constantly?
I think I guess like in the same vein of like we're talking about rap beef, I feel like a lot of the Marvel haters are just haters. I mean, I totally respect not liking superhero films and feeling like they're oversaturated, but if there's so much you can diss on superhero films over in DC, so just go hate on those ones. I think the Marvel films, even if you're just kind of tired of them, you can like just not watch them. It's not hard, and I think they do deserve respect for a lot of the things that they are accomplishing, even if they're not overtly risk taking. Like maybe it's a bit cliche to say this, but like Black Panther was a really cool accomplishment. I don't think we've had I think that was like a big I'm not sure if it's a risk taker or not, but like I think it was like the majority of the cast was black, and that's not something we see that often in films, period, let alone in cinema. I think
Yeah.
that's a cool accomplishment. I think it's cool to celebrate that, celebrate different types of superheroes. I think it's cool to celebrate the way they all come together in Infin- Infinity Wars and Endgame. I think that's just really cool to see. I
Yeah.
think they are pushing the boundaries on special effects, which I know are kind of like, we give credit to them when it's convenient, but like there's the one shot of like Captain America standing on the planet with like facing all the bad guys before all the other Avengers come in.
Yeah.
And it's just one of the coolest shots I've ever seen in a film. And I
Yeah.
think it's worth praising for that. I do think the character work is good too. You know, you go back to the first Thor movie and the character development of Thor all the way to the end, like mourning the loss of his people and his brother and everything, is such a ridiculous 180 from the cocky asshole in Thor 1. And that's not something you're going to often get in films in general. You're not going to get that character development, let alone, see that progression over multiple films happen in an organic way. So
Yeah.
I love the Marvel films. I understand why others would dislike them, but I think they're great. And I think for like blockbuster fun, they do a really good job. And
Yeah.
they're better than anything we've seen from DC, so we can
That's
respect
so
that
true. I
after
mean,
DC's destroyed me. So,
I feel like a few years ago, like I was a little down, not on Marvel films, but I was down on like superhero films. I felt like all these franchise films because everyone was trying to recreate the same thing, and I just felt
yeah.
like, all right, this is just getting oversaturated, and I felt like it was kind of a problem. But and people aren't as excited anymore. Some people aren't as excited anymore for Marvel films. They don't get excited,
Yeah.
but I think it's I'm still just as excited because
Yeah.
after Endgame, I was like, how are they? I'm probably gonna check out after this. It's probably
Mhm.
like, all these characters that I had been following for all these years, now they're kind of mostly gone. How are they gonna keep me invested? And now with the stuff they're doing now, I'm just like curious to see how they keep sort of reinventing the wheel and kind of trying to make things work and get you still invested. And so far, they're doing a good job.
Um
It's looking
did,
interesting.
yeah, did you mentioned you saw the what is it, Phase 4 trailer? I didn't get to see that, but did you before getting into that, did you get to see WandaVision?
Yes,
Like
loved WandaVision.
love WandaVision. WandaVision is easily one of the most creative TV shows I've seen in a while in terms of anything. And the fact that that can come because of the success of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think justifies the existence of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like because like I feel like what WandaVision was so interesting because
Yeah.
wanting to watch it every week, but also the unique creative way it did it. But there's something about Marvel that I've been thinking about that they really excel at the tricky comic book properties, the ones
Yeah.
that they don't know will work if they adapt it, or the certain characters that they don't know if they'll work. They put like extra effort to
Yeah.
try to make it work, and they get something really creative. Like they didn't know if Rocket Raccoon was going to work as a character that audience could
Yeah.
connect with Guardians of the Galaxy, and even the Guardians in general. They were obscure. They
Yeah.
didn't think people would care, and the first movie was fantastic. And
Yeah.
it's because I feel like they like really had to sit down and brainstorm to
Yeah.
like adapt it. Same thing with WandaVision. I think
When
it's
Oh no,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was like, I just quick comment on how it's so cool that like something like the traditional superhero stuff we get with the Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, and then like Doctor Strange can all exist in like the same universe with very different tones and presentation. And then now we're getting the TV series with like WandaVision, which is like it's the same property even though it's very different.
Yeah. And then I want to address Dwarfy in the comments said in the chat said, I watched Black Panther. I appreciate what it did for people, but I didn't like how people made it out to be a masterpiece when it was pretty shoddy, to be frank.
I don't think it was made I don't think it was shoddily made. I wouldn't consider it a masterpiece either, but I do think it was a compelling story with a great setting. And I think the antagonist in it is this either the best or second best in Marvel films.
I think what it was during the time, and I can
Mm-hmm.
understand this. I mean, I loved it. I came out of the theater just, like this was great. But I never thought it was a masterpiece. I just feel
Mm.
like what it caused was a lot of hype, a lot of
Yeah.
discussion because it was something that hadn't been done at the time, something the audiences were clamoring for, especially certain groups wanted more representation in
Yeah.
films. And this kind of was an answer to that. I think the only criticism I saw at the time was the battle, like the final fight between the villain and Black Panther at the end was kind of like, okay, like maybe that
Yeah.
could be like shoddy with the CGI. But the rest of the film, emotionally resonant,
Yeah.
cool characters, technology was awesome. Again,
Yeah.
I don't think it's a cinematic masterpiece, but I thought it
Yeah.
was really, really good, especially because one of the most interesting aspects for me about what was it, Civil War, was
Yeah.
when they introduced Black Panther and
Yeah.
his whole
Presence.
subplot,
Yeah.
not take revenge. It really spoke to his character, and then getting to see him
Mm-hmm.
get his own film and all that was just awesome.
Yeah, and I like maybe this is just weird to me. Like I like how cool they made Africa look. Like how often do we see Africa look as like this rundown place where everyone is like,
Yeah.
everyone's suffering or whatever. And this is like futuristic Africa, dopest place on earth, Wakanda forever, looks like the coolest place ever. I think it was just really cool to see that. Now
And yeah.
does that make it a masterpiece? No, but I think it is fair if people do find it to be a masterpiece. I think that's like a fair take I could see someone having.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like, well, and it was cool because the way the setting for that is that they were in the shadows, they were hidden, and
Yeah.
they were off the grid. People didn't know about, their advanced technology,
Yeah.
Wakanda. And I love about that is that in a way ties into, they tie that into the latest series, Falcon and Winter Soldier. And it just
Yeah.
keeps being a recurring thing. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's pretty cool.
And it sets the stage perfectly for Infinity Wars, where they're like, okay, we're gonna have this battle. Where are we gonna have it? Wakanda. You get instantly hyped. I'm like, yes, fight them, fight the bad aliens. Wakanda forever.
Well, now the thing is, now that Iron Man is gone and he was like the tech provider, now I think they're turning Wakanda into the providers of tech.
Yeah, I think they mentioned that the little sister, I forget her name, she's like either Tony Stark level genius or she's smarter.
Yeah. Yeah,
She's like,
exactly.
I think she's like the smartest person in the universe now, which in the Marvel universe, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we should bring it back to
The
Anno.
question is the question for Scorsese is Evangelion cinema?
I think, well, I guess I think he would say it's cinema.
We need to see the crossover because I need to know Scorsese's take on anime, and then I need to see Oshii's take on the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah. I mean, I think Oshii would be like, Marvel has a theme, so they're good,
Yeah, they challenged society at some point. They're good. They took down Thanos. That's society. It's good. And then Scorsese is like, well, they got some interesting camera angles. I think this counts. We're good.
Yeah. But I think in itself, I think self-expression in itself is, I mean, like, I guess you could argue self-expression isn't like, you're not trying to convey a theme, you're just trying to express yourself. But I think Evangelion and Anno's works weren't really devoid of a theme. There was the Hedgehog's Dilemma theme, and that was kind of tied in to the self-expression. So
Yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation because there's always this level of like what counts as depth or value. It's always like trying to assign how much value something has in both like an artistic and meaningful way. And it's just interesting to see how other people evaluate it, because I think if there's any kind of like emotional or psychological impact it has on you, then I think there is value in it, even if, on paper you could argue like, oh, it doesn't have themes. But I think that's kind of boring to just kind of look at everything with the same mindset, or English classes did in high school. I don't think, we go back to something like, I don't know if this is your traumatizing English class reading, but I think The Scarlet Letter is like a 2-pack of ass. Like, it just sucks. I hate that. And I remember, and I'm like an English class nerd. Like, I'm not one of those people who's like, oh my God, I can't read. Like, even in high school, I liked reading the books. I was down for it. I was open to the themes. Scarlet Letter made me want to kill myself. Like, it was so bad. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube. Sorry, Mom. But
oh God.
my mom has a PhD in English and she loves The Scarlet Letter, so sorry.
Yeah,
but
well,
so I hate The Scarlet Letter, but in a traditional viewpoint, it has a lot of themes to it. So you're like, okay, in English class, they'd be like, The Scarlet Letter has themes. It's one of the best books of all time, but I took like nothing away from it besides how stupid I thought it was.
I mean, I was the opposite
You
with
like The Scarlet
English.
Letter?
No, not with the Scarlet. I did, so I had the Scarlet. I had a bunch of assigned readings. The Scarlet Letter was one of them in senior year, but I was the opposite of you that I did not read the books. I did not
Well,
read the
Spark
readings.
Notes?
Yeah, I would just Spark Notes at the end, and then I would just get an A on the paper. So
Yeah.
like, I would just get all the themes.
Game the system.
Yeah, pretty much. I started doing that a lot more in my last 2 years of high school. So, yeah, because I think
I did Spark Notes: A Tale of Two Cities. That's when I did it.
I think I only read one book my whole senior year, and
which one?
Play. I think I read A Doll's House. That was it.
I don't know if I have to read that.
But we had a ton of like really good readings. I just didn't read them.
Did you read them like earlier in high school? Like,
which one?
Did you read like books earlier? Like, because you mentioned like senior year. Did you read stuff?
Because I started checking out more towards my junior and senior year, so I didn't really actually start reading the books. Like, I appreciated Hamlet a lot more after I really dug deep into the Spark Notes when I had to write the paper for it. So
once you realize Hamlet is like a Lion King, you're like, okay, Hamlet's got rights. We're good.
Yeah, because I had to go like in through the I had to get like quotes from the book for the research paper, so I had to like actually go in through the text. But earlier, like my sophomore year, I read Catcher in the Rye and like stuff
my favorite.
Like that.
Do you like that one?
No, I don't like Catcher in the Rye.
No, stop. Did we? I think we did.
People, you know what? Like how people like were saying hyped up like Dwarfy was saying they hyped up Black Panther to be this masterpiece. People would hype up Catcher in the Rye to be this like resonant like masterpiece, and to me, I just like I don't know. I read it and I'm like, I don't get this. You know, so.
I mean, no, I'm just saying okay because I was like trying to think back to like, no, I loved it. I think it was also just the timing because it was like, I felt like when I read it sophomore year, that's like the peak timing for it because it's like the one book where I feel like it speaks and listens to you. And then you like a week later, you're like reading A Tale of Two Cities and you're like, this story didn't need these many pages to be described. We did not need this shit. So
guys, if we're boring you with all this English class, horrible flashbacks to assigned readings, let us know if you need us to go back to anime.
Yeah, sorry if we went too far. Anyway,
keep going.
beyond English class trauma, I think it's just like the interesting idea of what we've been presented to think of as themes in terms of like what makes something important. And I don't think that's like, I think having like a set rule book of what makes something deep or important or valuable is boring.
Yeah. Yeah, because I feel like again the themes can be good, but they don't make the book good or the show good. It's all in the execution.
Yeah.
Tommy, please. Sorry if I butchered your name. Tells us to please continue. So you know.
Yeah. Speak on which books
my favorite reading for like assigned reading for sophomore year was A Confederacy of Dunces. Not a book that's well known because it was the author's only book before he committed suicide. But it was a really good book. It was a really, really good book. It was really fun.
The other good book that stood out was Native Son, which is essentially Grand Theft Auto as a book. So
gotcha.
It's really fun. It's really, I don't know if maybe I had the wrong takeaway from it. I think maybe I did. I think I did, but it's a good book. So I will not spoil.
I think I liked To Kill a Mockingbird. That was cool.
I think To Kill a Mockingbird is like the most universally liked English reading. Like no one hates To Kill a Mockingbird, and if they do, I don't want to know them.
Yeah, I can't see that book being hated, but like I don't know. Rest of the books after that, because I think my junior was like British literature, and that was the focus, and then my senior year was just modern, like kind of contemporary like books, and then yeah. So, but I didn't read most of them. So
Yeah, I think I did do most of the reading, but junior year was when I developed the ability to fall asleep in class. I just like could never do it before, and then junior year I was like, history class gets too much, I'm out. And then yeah, I think I started spark notesing a bit more, but I mostly liked reading. But I would rather spark notes A Tale of Two City than read A Scarlet Letter again. So
yeah, because like I heard always Scarlet Letter was just an oppressive sort of read. So,
but it's not like fun oppressive, because sometimes you can be like, oh, this is
there
sad.
is fun oppressive, but
There's
that
the
wasn't fun oppressive.
It's just dumb. Like, I don't know.
Like, you know how Kill la Kill is fun oppressive?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that.
Yeah, it's not fun. You can't even be like, wow, I'm sad and this is like wallowing in sadness. It was just dumb. Just watch Easy A instead. That's better.
Oh, okay, because that's like loosely based on A Scarlet Letter?
Like,
or?
kinda, yeah. It's like, they reference it a lot too. That's like definitely the same kind of.
Roger Smith says, I did not like the movie of To Kill a Mockingbird because my classmates would always tell me I looked like Scout, the main girl in the story. You know, I actually watched the movie. I remember being shown that.
I love the movie, but I recognize this childhood trauma and I respect this hatred of the movie because of this.
Maybe I'm confusing it with another movie.
No, To Kill a Mockingbird's the black and white one with George Peck as Atticus Finch. Like,
no,
one
I'm
of the
sorry.
most.
You know what? I'm thinking of some other movie from grade school that was like a similar book.
I hope you didn't watch it in grade school.
No. Then we got a comment saying, what do you guys think of people slandering fantasy literature as immature/mediocre? And I guess the example here is Lord of the Rings. Is that the best example, or?
If anyone said Lord of the Rings is immature or mediocre, I think I got to question what their definition is.
To slander Lord of the Rings is not like shouldn't be part of the canon, you know, of English literature. But you know, I think recent years it got inducted into.
Okay. Canon. So we're talking about it in like the like old school literature, not like in society. Because I just think that's kind of dumb. If I think Gregory Peck, I said it wrong. Gregory Peck. My mom is judging me. I failed the family, but
Gregory Peck is okay, yeah.
Atticus Finch, yeah. Because we got the delay. Whoops. Yeah, I think fantasy literature as immature and like academic circles. I'm really hoping that's now an outdated take, because I think we've seen, especially with Lord of the Rings, and maybe it's a bit different because it's still for kids. But I think the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe series, the 7-book series, Chronicles of Narnia. There we go. Maybe I should read a book and remember that. But it's like
I've never read Chronicles of Narnia. I just know about it.
They're really good, and there's a lot of like different themes. I can't believe I said themes.
Well, there's a lot of Christian themes because of the C.S. Lewis was a devout Catholic, so he put that in Chronicles of Narnia. But
it includes like Christian themes without being really preachy about it. It's not like, hey guys, Jesus book. It's like very much incorporated in the fantasy aspect of it in a very interesting way. And it's a good kids novel. There's a lot of different settings and stories told over the 7-book series. I think that's really good. And I think they do have people read that in school. So that's cool. I don't think kids should read this in school, but you know, we got A Song of Ice and Fire. I don't think anyone would say that's devoid of themes or have bad, or nor that it has bad prose. So I'm hoping that the new age takes and engagement in the themes of fantasy novels will maybe, you know, change some of the old school mindsets on that. But I mean, I don't think anyone could argue that like Lord of the Rings doesn't have meaningful themes that are worth evaluating.
Actually, just quick correction. So I think C.S. Lewis was just a Christian, whereas Tolkien, Lord of the Rings author, was a devout Roman Catholic. So there you go.
Oh yeah, because they were best friends. They were besties.
It was actually one of the. It was because he had a conversation with Tolkien like one night or something, a long conversation about religion and theism that he converted afterward.
Yeah, they're besties. But both films have, both stories, I should say, even though they have films, they both have like Catholic Christian imagery of the, like, you know, they have like Jesus figures who have like been reborn again.
I mean, it's so interesting because like I once did a paper in high school, because I took religion in high school. And we had to compare the Matrix to like to Hinduism. But before that, I had way before that, it was actually before high school, like at a youth group, they told me like the Matrix has a lot of Christian themes. So we were kind of comparing the Matrix to all these like Christian themes and how it's present. But then I found out the Matrix is actually Buddhist. So you know,
It is. Yeah, because it's also I mean the one. Yeah, there is a lot of
it
like
works really
crossover.
well with Christianity, with Hinduism, with Buddhism. Like you can
Yeah.
interpret it many ways.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is like a lot of religions have a lot of crossover, even if the details aren't the same, but like the overarching themes of them and their philosophies are very similar.
And let me just address some comments in the chat. I think the fantasy bad takes comes from all the loader wannabes rather than loader being an exception. All right.
That could make sense.
There's oh, go ahead. I'm just gonna read
No,
this.
I was just reading the next comment.
There's a really big side of literature readers who don't think fantasy literature is real literature. It sucks because a fantasy series is my fictional story and people don't take them as seriously.
So if you like the Scarlet Letter, you cannot criticize fantasy. So that's my rule. If you like the Scarlet Letter, you cannot slander Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. It's like anime fans slandering sports anime for being sports.
Yeah, I think there is just this weird, like, there's weird thing of like people having very strict, like, what's it called? What's the horse thing where they blinders? They have these set blinders on what constitutes as like serious fiction or substantive fiction, and
Yeah.
they're not willing to evaluate their emotions or the emotional attachment or even different types of themes being explored in a way that can be considered substantive. And I think that applies to like fantasy literature and then like sports anime, like on the other end of the extreme. Like, you know, there should be some kind of, give yourself some kind of credit for having emotional attachments or being interested in certain aspects of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're on the same page with that too, right? Like, how do you feel about the way people kind of treat themes as like almost like a set guidelines versus being more fluid with them?
Well, what do you mean? Sorry. I'm
Like the idea that like if it's not like fantasy literature isn't as serious as like contemporary or traditional literature.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know, but like I've never cared to make
Yeah,
a
so you're like,
distinction. I
yeah,
just like it is what it is, you know.
yeah.
A genre film can have good themes and
Hmm.
you know, I don't know. I've never really been like that, you know, strict or serious for this is literature and this
Yeah.
is not, and this can have these themes and they're well executed and this is not on this level. So, you know.
Yeah. So like if someone came to you, this might be a bit off. So what do you think if like you're trying to make a case for like Evangelion versus let's say I don't want to say The Godfather because we're already talking about mafia films, but
Yeah, we
like
got to move away.
we move
further
on.
away.
But like what do you think what's another like just really acclaimed like live action film versus like Evangelion? And some people would be like, "Oh, well it's like a cartoon, it might not be as serious or something." Like what's your case for like how it's still just as meaningful?
Really acclaimed live action film. I'm trying to think. I mean, there's the Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, we could go with like that.
There's Fight Club.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I think Evangelion stands, you know, on the same ground. It's just animated. I feel like it's just now at that difference at that point it's just a difference of medium. Kind of like when we had that conversation about forcing your dad to watch Evangelion or watching anime, and then he was just like, you know, what's the point? You know, why can't they just make it live action? It's just more of I wouldn't want to see the stuff conveyed in Evangelion in live action.
Like literally the
like,
background for this podcast. I don't want to see that with real next evil.
I think that would ruin it. I think that would take away from it. There's something to the stylistic avant-garde presentation that, you know, lends itself to being better in animated form. And so if that's what we're talking about, the, you know, the differences in medium, but in terms of the content and the subject matter, I'd say it's on the same level. I think it could be treated as the same thing.
Yeah, not to gas up our own weebness too much and our own weeb preferences, even though we are just weebs, trademark. Even though we do have that aspect, do you feel like anime can be a lot more personal than traditional live action cinema?
Yeah, actually, you know what's that's something I've thought about. I've been thinking about recently. Like, I feel like people really like they connect anime a lot. They connect to anime a lot more than they do to films or cinema, and like it does feel more personal. I don't know exactly why, um, and
Yeah.
I think it's because of like the visual imagery that
Yeah.
like stays more in your head and allows you to latch yourself onto it more. Like because anime has the ability of more to put to give more form to like to feelings
Yeah.
and within a visual sense that
Yeah.
live action doesn't really can't really do.
Yeah.
You know.
And I wasn't even thinking just like did frame it this way, but I'm not even thinking just like Japanese media versus like Western media because I was watching Into the Spider-Verse again the other day and I still had a lot more of like an emotional attachment to it and the way it presented things than I did some of like the live action film I've seen recently. You know, I was like watching Into the Spider-Verse and I feel like I connect with the characters and the way they presented their struggles. Like I tuned in, you've seen it, right? I think you
Yeah.
have. I
Yeah.
didn't want to spoil just in case. Like they have the one scene with I forget the bad guy's name, but it's just like the guy with like the super wide guy with the business suit who's like the main
Oh,
antagonist.
Kingpin.
Kingpin, there's his name.
Yeah.
Um, so they're showing him like standing and he's like clicking this pen, and every time he clicks a pen, it's a flashback to his family, which he lost in a car accident when he was fighting Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And even something like that, which I think could possibly be replicated with live action, just feels so natural for the animated medium. And that like 30-second clip makes you connect with him and his motives like instantaneously.
Yeah. 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 I think like I don't know. I feel like animation has more. I don't know. I'm having trouble articulating this, but I
You're
definitely
doing good
think
though.
I think like with Spider-Verse and Spider-Verse's case, like I feel like stuff that's like drawn or really like catchy because I feel like as humans we're really like stuff stays more in our head if it's more if
Memorable.
it's huh?
But that's a bit redundant. That's a sentence I would say. Stuff stays in your head if it's more memorable. So I'm sorry I
No, I
hijacked
actually, you know what
that.
I thought you said? I thought you said nonverbal
Oh,
because
nonverbal. Oh,
because I thought
maybe.
that makes sense. Where it's like visuals, like you don't need to really say anything. You know,
Hmm.
it's more of all the colors and the eye catch. Because Spider Verse is very eye catching. So
Yeah.
a lot of those scenes will stay in your head because of all the colors and like how it
Hmm.
works well and how it blends it all together. But I know you were talking more about a specific moment with a specific character.
But that applies too. I think you can remember the emotional color palette of it really well. They communicate that well through like a variety of colors.
Yeah. So I think it's a mix of all those things. But why do so your whole question was why do people connect more personally to animation, right?
Or
As
like at
opposed to
least we do. In general, I think a lot of the connection we have with like a lot of animated films does feel a bit more emotional than like live action in a way.
I feel like it's I think with animation, it's like it's the potential of what it could be, and I feel
Hmm.
like there's just such a vast potential, that I think maybe that's why,
Yeah.
because it spurs more the imagination. Maybe like with the argument about like novels versus the film adaptation. You know, you're reading a novel. If you read it first, that's probably going to ruin film adaptation. Is probably not going to live up to it because you have the freedom to sort of kind of imagine it in your head. So when you
Yeah.
actually see it defined and it doesn't live up to that crisp 1080p visual that you had in your head with this actor with this voice,
Mm.
then it's just not, you know I think
I've
it's yeah, good.
I mean, you're totally right. I have a theory that whatever if you see like two different versions of a story in two different mediums, whichever one you fell in love with first will automatically be the one you prefer over the other no matter like what happens. Probably not much of like a theory, but it's just something I've noticed that like whichever one someone gets more attached to, if it's like book, movie, TV, manga, like oftentimes like whichever one they're more attached to, they seem to be more fond of even when they consume the other ones. But might just be anecdotal based on what I've seen.
Yeah, maybe we have to do more further research
Further
to
research.
confirm. But it is an interesting question, like which I haven't fully figured out. But why do we attach more? Well, why is it for you actually? Why do you think you attach more personally to animation than a film? You know.
I think it is like I think especially with film, I just don't get a sense of I don't know. I feel like I just don't connect with the characters as much in an emotional way, you know? I think animation does have that kind of like fluidity to it that allows you to really get a sense of how the characters are feeling and thinking. And I think they prioritize that a lot. Sometimes they do a good job of making that a priority or highlighting that in interesting ways. Whereas, I'm trying to think of a film where I'm like, okay, I like this and I'm along for the ride, but I don't necessarily connect with the characters as much
Well,
because I think
let's
it,
go with your favorite film. I think that's The Matrix, and I think that would be a good starting
yeah,
point because it's your
yeah,
favorite for a reason. So
yeah.
maybe is there a gap between maybe your favorite anime, which is like Haikyuu, right? Or no, Steins Gate. Sorry.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
I feel bad because it's like tough with like a TV series versus a film. And I do connect. I think my favorite TV series is Breaking Bad. I know, really original, but like, I
yeah, I don't
connect with the
blame you.
characters. Yeah. I mean, I connect with the characters a lot in that, but I think even with I'll just use Into the Spider-Verse for an example. I felt like I was able to like instantaneously connect with Miles, with like the struggles he went through, the other characters, even like, other Spider-Men that like entered his universe, even the villain. Like, I think they presented everything in such a great way that I was just able to connect with them. I mean, like an emotional and aesthetic level. But then I don't know, like I think in The Matrix I did connect with them emotionally, but it felt a lot more about the journey, the like overall world building, the story, the way things developed as the plot went on that I connected with more, and a lot of the imagery was really cool.
Yeah,
But
because I feel like movies are most of the time, unless they're about that specific maybe human moment or connection, most of the
mhm,
time they have a limited runtime, so they're trying to
yeah,
get to the destination.
yeah,
So maybe it is better to compare it to a long form TV show like
yeah,
Breaking Bad. Maybe
yeah.
that's a more apt comparison. So that's one of your favorite TV shows. Do you feel more personally attached to Breaking Bad and its characters, or just as attached to your to maybe like your favorite anime?
Oh, that's so tough. Actually, that's tough. I think that's a bit more of an even playing field, but like, yeah, that one's tough. You're like,
Yeah, because maybe what it is that with animation, with let's just specifically focus on anime,
yeah,
because I know Spider Verse is its own example, and I feel
yeah,
like
that's
maybe
its
that's
own
an
thing.
anomaly. But with anime, like why we've been so attached is for all these years, anime filled like a void
Hmm.
that like wasn't there in like movies
Hmm.
and cartoons and storytelling, where
Yeah.
it was able to do this long form storytelling and explore these subjects and get you and explore characters' motivations and internal like dialogue and whatever
Yeah.
in a visually appealing way. And now Western TV is coming up in
Hmm.
that way where it's matching it, and maybe it might be on the same playing field now. Now maybe it's a little different.
Yeah, definitely. I think you see it too. I've been watching Better Call Saul,
Yeah.
and it's I don't know if it's on the same level of Breaking Bad yet. I think it's really close,
Did
but
you
you
get to
see like
season 5?
I didn't get to season 5 yet. I'm
That's
at
why you're
season.
saying that.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. But yeah, it's like the visual presentation is so interesting. Like they're definitely taking a lot more creative risks because I think they know that like yeah, we'll just eat it up no matter what. But they
Yeah.
take so many cool like creative risks with the shots, especially with his brother Chuck, who is like mentally unstable. Like the way they kind of show his like mental instability is really interesting. And I think that's something that feels maybe it's a bit more anime adjacent than I've seen in some like live action films or live action TV that have shown mental breakdowns.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the creativity, the creative. Maybe it's anime or animation is able to articulate those. Again, I touched on this earlier, like things in our mind that we didn't have find.
Yeah.
We couldn't find the form for.
Yeah.
It's abstract, so it nails
Abstract. Yeah.
abstract concepts
Yeah.
really well. Because at the end of the day, an animation or whatever is an interpretation of the world by a particular author or a
Hmm.
particular director. That's their interpretation. But if they execute it well and you happen to like with it and resonate with it, you didn't have anything a language for that before, and you see that, I'm like, this is it. This is the
Yeah.
feeling. This is exactly what I was feeling, and then it connects with you. I don't know.
I think that was really well put. See, you did have it in you. You could articulate it all along.
That was the journey all along. It was in me all along. Just to address one comment here, going back to superheroes, to me,
Hmm.
superheroes can be much better in animation than live action cinema, like Into the Spider-Verse and Batman Mask of the Phantasm are far more better than almost all superhero movies. There are actually some pretty good DC animated movies. Those are pretty
Yeah.
good.
DC animated is like top tier, and it bothers me so much that their live action films suck so much because I grew up with Batman, the Batman animated series, Superman animated series, Justice League series. Like that was like every day, home from school, turn it on, and I was like, okay, like Justice League, just do what the cartoon did, just literally do that, and it was so cool.
Yeah, yeah, and there are actually some a few years back they do these full like animated movies that are
Yeah.
just like a special, and I saw one of them. A friend showed me like it was Flashpoint, and that was pretty cool.
Oh, I think
Uh,
I don't know
where
if I saw that
it
one.
was like
I
a what if scenario, like what if Bruce Wayne's parents lived
Oh,
and
interesting.
his dad, and I think Bruce died and his dad became the Batman,
That's interesting.
and it was Thomas Wayne, and he was like a much darker, more violent version of Batman. It was cool.
And they have so many
And his
interesting.
mom was the Joker.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
kind of wild.
it was really cool actually.
And I saw the Suicide Squad animated film. So going from that to the live action one was like another slap in the face because
Yeah.
they captured the tone so well in the animated film of like they're not good guys, they're just bad guys who are on a job. Like anything can happen. So that was a letdown later down the line when I saw the live action one, and then forgetting what else I saw. I think that's essentially it. But I have to see more of the DC stuff.
Actually, speaking of DC, mental health, symbolism, bringing it all back. We're bringing it back, guys, for whoever's still around. And self-expression. What did you think of the Joker film from 2019?
I thought you were going to say the Snyder Cut. God damn it. I'm still let down. No.
Yeah, I was talking about that last night. You know what? Actually, let's do the Snyder Cut.
Oh, we could do both. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the Snyder Cut is definitely doesn't quite fit in that category I built up, I think, but
no, I love the Snyder. Oh my God. I was so excited for the Snyder Cut talk. I was like, yes, mental health, Snyder Cut. What else could you think of?
I mean, after watching that movie, I think I lost some mental health.
Yeah.
So,
that's such a weird experience because like the original was so bad that I think it was better kind of by default, but that still doesn't make it good.
I mean, I'm in the opposite camp.
Oh, you think it's worse?
Fine with the original. I thought it was pretty fun. It kind of was trying to be the Avengers, but like, I don't know. The bar was set very, very low for me after Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice, which was like just a drag, like overly serious. So Justice League was like, oh, hey, this is fun. I'm not expecting too much. It was cool.
Yeah, I just like how they actually tried to give them like backstories and character arcs.
But it was like
even though it's like
3 hours. It was 4
hours.
4 hours. I was like, I don't
Snyder
know,
Cut.
man.
It's not much of a cut if it's twice as long, but it was in 4:3, so it was artistic.
It just felt like there was so much ceremony, over like all these scenes, like slow motion, like dragged down. I was like, okay.
I think I was at my wit's end when it was like the it's like the Wonder Woman theme that they made worse, where it's like the like weird chanting shit. I can't do it, but it was so bad, and they played it every time. It was, and then when I went to, I'm like, there's too much like ritual chanting, too much in like the worst scenes. But so I guess getting back to true mental health, Joker 2019. The way I put it, because I think me and my fiance did a thing where we're like, okay, we're gonna watch all the Oscar films. We're gonna go down the line. We're gonna be good. Yeah, it ended up being really fun. But I say everything I say about the Joker is it is a okay film with a fantastic performance from Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
But the actual film itself is like kind of whatever.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I was, in the theater, and I just felt like it was long. Like this is like I was just like, I get it. Like I get it. Like he's punished.
Yeah, his life sucks. We get it.
I've had enough. It was too much. But I mean, Joaquin Phoenix performance, phenomenal.
Yeah.
But
I just view it as a vehicle for his performance. I don't even look into like the themes or whatever. It's kind of ridiculous that him getting robbed in a train station would lead to like a societal revolution. I don't think it works like that. I think people get robbed a lot, and it doesn't lead to like fighting back against the man. Yeah. But I think there are some like authentic things that have been portrayed through it, like being let down by society and how that can spiral and make people's mental health like, just completely disillusion them from society. I think that makes sense, even though it might be a bit dramatic.
Interesting about it, especially by the end, was how it was really like, it felt like a commentary on angry internet trolls, like, taking it too far or taking it back to the man and feeling like they're in the right or they're entitled or, so.
Yeah, I think the general controversy was super overblown because it's like I still forget what the original thing was. I forget what their thing was. They're like, is this like the incel anthem or something? And I think
I think that's what it
that,
was. And I was like,
and I don't think it's an incel anthem. I think calling it an incel anthem is kind of missing the point of what it's trying to convey, which is like, you know, this is what happens with a lack of empathy and care for the worst of people in society and how it leads them down this path of being completely disconnected.
yeah.
So I think dubbing it an incel anthem is kind of like proving the point of the film, which is like bad. I just think that's like the wrong way to look at it. But I also don't think it's like, I don't think it was like the best movie made that year, but I do love his performance. So
yeah,
where credit is due.
He's a really good actor, so I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Is he your favorite Joker?
No, of course not. Heath Ledger. You know. Okay, Heath Ledger versus Mark Hamill, though. Those are the two.
Well, but yeah, that's animated. I was talking about live action.
But he does the voice. He does the voice of Joker.
I mean, it's a great voice. I'm just saying in terms of the live action.
Oh yeah, no, it's Heath Ledger, of course.
Yeah,
no,
I think he gave his life for that. You know.
Yeah, I mean, The Dark Knight is possibly like top 3 films for me. I think you could make an argument that it's the most perfectly executed film.
It's so good. It's really good.
I watch it anytime.
I haven't watched it in years, but I can put it back on and I would enjoy the ride, you know.
Yeah. Perfect intro, perfect like everything. I think it's
definitely enjoyed it more than the last film, so, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think you can touch Heath Ledger's Joker, TBH.
Yeah. No, I meant like the more than, what was the last one? Dark Knight Rises? Yeah. That was the last one, right?
Yeah, that one was like decent for me, but still not. Bane. It's not iconic, you know. Yeah. Bane memes were funny for years. That was
pretty funny. It was pretty
Bane,
funny.
I'm Bane.
You merely adopted
you adopted the darkness. Yeah, I was born in it, raised in it. That's like so many quotable lines.
Molded by it.
His voice was so funny.
I was literally saying that to my fiance the other day. I was just like, I forgot what it was about. And I was like, you merely adopted it. I was born in it.
Yeah, I say that still all the time. That's you know what's cool about just like I think my reference point is still like early 2010s is that now that it's like 10 years out, I look original and funny, but really I'm still just referencing the same memes from 10 years ago and I haven't changed.
Yeah. It's just like other people had dropped off and you're like, now's my chance.
Like with this and like Step Brothers, that's just my whole vocabulary and everyone's moved on except me.
I mean, Step Brothers memes were still going on for a long time. I was hearing them. Now I don't hear them as much, but there was a lot of, it's a fucking Catalina wine mixer.
Catalina wine mixer. It's so funny.
It's like, what is that? It's a fucking Catalina wine mixer. All right, so let's bring it back.
Sorry, guys, we get lost in the sauce, but it's fun.
We've tangented the shit out of this. We went from literature to Marvel movies.
How's the Joker?
Yeah, how's the Joker? What'd you think? We never got to talk about this, so it's a good time to catch up.
There's no other time to talk about the Joker 2019.
I mean, I feel like we pretty much covered the whole. It wasn't like a huge deal. It just seemed, sort of surreal and out of nowhere. Mamoru Oshii just coming after Anno after all these years, saying like, hey, he has no themes. But
boy ain't got no themes. He's just like dropping
like
the mic.
Like a salty moment, but that might be presumptuous of me to say that. But he doesn't have anything to be salty about. He's an acclaimed director, but. And maybe he has a different definition of themes.
Yeah, because in our last podcast, people were like, they didn't actually define new gen. And that was kind of the point of like, there is no good way to define new gen. I guess we could say the thesis for this podcast is we can see like where Oshii was coming from in terms of like his specific definition of themes. But we personally believe that there are a lot of themes at play in both in Anno, Shinkai, and Hosoda's work.
Yeah, they're just different. They just work differently. Actually, you know what? While we're talking about this, do you have any example, and anyone in the chat, actually, if you can chime in, like what is a movie or anime without a theme? Like an actual like one without a theme for a point of comparison. That would pretty much help.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good...
What's something without a theme, Because does everything inherently have a theme? Or are there works that don't have a theme? Would that be slice of life anime? Not all of them, of course, but like
I'd say like I guess the first thing I think of, and I don't even mean it as an insult because I love it, is like K-On! But it's still there's like coming of age themes,
And isn't it the theme of like I don't know girl band sort of coming together, kind of
Come at
trying to become
friendship.
successful.
You could say that like friendship. I don't think they're successful. That's the whole point. Is like their band sucks. That's
I
kind
never
of the point.
watched it, so
Oh,
I'm
you
just
gotta. I think you'll like it. I didn't think I would like K-On, and then I watched it, and it was hysterical. It's like such a funny. It's such a funny show. But that is kind of the point. Is like they come together, and it's all about like them joining the Like Music Club, which is like essentially a band. But they have so much more fun hanging out and being friends with each other that they kind of prioritize that over being a band. Thus, it's all about
tea
drinking
time.
tea and eating
That's where
cakes
the meme comes
over.
from. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Uh,
think you could say the theme is a slice of life version of enjoy the detours rather than the destination.
or maybe that's reading too much into it. I don't know.
I don't know the tea. Well, my favorite part. I don't think this counts as spoiling it. Is they have to run the mile for gym class around town, and my favorite girl in this show, she ends up going over to her neighbors because she got lost or something, and she's just chilling, drinking tea with her instead of running the mile while her friends are looking for her. Like, where'd she go? She got lost. She's like, guys, I'm just chilling. This is it, and
You just
that's when I
gotta
was.
you just gotta vibe, enjoy the detours. We
Yeah,
got two examples. Well, we got
yeah.
Redline. People said
Redline
Redline in
is
the chat, and then that was co-signed by Dwarfy in the chat.
Redline.
So that's Redline, and then someone said JoJo. JoJo has themes. Okay, JoJo has
Yeah.
themes. You know.
JoJo, I mean, definitely at some point, it definitely has themes. I think it can.
It definitely has themes, you know.
Yeah.
So each part has like its own sort of
And there's also like a
theme.
lot of themes I think in play with JoJo that kind of come into play with like the time period and setting. I think there's
Yeah.
some kind there's you can make a lot of connection with that too. Like, you know, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a part 2 theme that got a bit crazy, but you know, there's a lot more to it than just, you know, like wild shit going down across the world.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like that's a lot of it, but there are themes. Like the theme inherent, like each part has its own theme, but in the theme inherent in all of JoJo's throughout. I don't know about part 7 and stuff because I know
Part 7 has
stuff
tons
gets
of themes, but
reset.
it might be different. Yeah.
But it's the whole passing of the torch, the whole
Yeah.
multi-generational passing of the torch.
Multi-generational torch fighting good against evil.
I mean, it kind of ends sort of in part 4, sort of doesn't, you know, like it, but it's all connected.
Yeah.
You know, so it's
but then
like
it's picked up well in 6. 6 is like peak, like
it's like the
good versus evil.
MCU of anime.
Yeah.
Is that a
People are
stretch?
gonna like that and not like that for different reasons. But
Yeah.
then you get to like part 7 has like a ridiculous amount of like tangible themes, like even beyond JoJo themes. Like it's very much
I'm
text heavy.
holding out for the anime.
Yeah, why don't do that? Read
It's a
part
long
7.
wait. I mean, I
Read
really want to
part
read
7.
it because I do want to see the author's progression. I'm invested in that.
It is my favorite manga art, period.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I see it as your PFP all the time, your profile pic.
Period. That's I keep forgetting I keep forgetting I have Gyro as my thing. That's not even it. It's just fan art, but
oh, okay.
No, but period. On period, as the kids would say.
What, your favorite anime art?
No, manga art.
Manga art, period. Okay.
Period. On period. Sorry, Berserk. Berserk is up there though. Like I'm not gonna if push comes to shove, it might be tough, but
all right, so let me address Redline.
Redline?
Did you watch Redline?
Yeah, I like
did
Redline.
Not. So
Um,
it's one of those movies I've been meaning to get around to for years since it came out. Never got around to it.
There are themes of Redline. Well, kind of. Yeah, because it's like this intergalactic race on like alien planets, and at some point they're having like at some point there's like some consumerism bullshit where they like want to fight, they want to race on this one planet, but it's like super dangerous and shit. I don't think this, but there is also a theme of like inspiration because he's the main driver and he was inspired by this other girl driver, so she inspired him down this path. But I mean, I guess that's kind of a very shallow look at it, but I do think you could infer some themes if you're more into it. I'm like a Redline is good, but like 7 out of 10 good, so like I didn't super connect with it even though I enjoyed it, but
yeah,
I don't know.
It was more of the, I hate to say it, of a visual spectacle, I guess.
Yeah, but I think it's like
I heard that was the selling point, you know, how awesome it was in terms of the animation.
Yeah, I guess you could call it the Fast and Furious of anime films, but like, but it's a bit more aesthetic to it. But it is also, I'll go back and rewatch it because you know some people say like, oh, Sword and the Stranger, that is it, yeah,
That's
Sword
a
and
good
the
one.
Stranger. Yeah, Sword and the Stranger, they could be like, oh, it doesn't have themes. There are very obvious themes at play, even if you don't feel like it's a deep dive in them. You know, like alienation, like outsiders. Then there's like the weird Chinese voodoo shit that they want the weird sacrificial bullshit. But the idea of Sword and the Stranger and how that plays into being like a native Japanese citizen versus like an outsider from their point of view is definitely a theme.
Yeah.
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 So a lot more than that one fight scene.
I mean, I think it would have to either be a comedy, slice of life, or just something experimental to not have a theme. Like, would Pop Team Epic have a theme?
Chaos, absolute chaos.
Fuck.
Maybe that. Okay, what did you say? I think this okay. Okay, so what? I was gonna say another. Okay, what is like? I think there is a theme. I'm just not the person to guess it. But like, what would you say is the theme of like Konosuba?
Yeah, we should have like a quiz, like a thing after this. This should be continued. We need to find out.
Find the theme
from everyone. Give us an anime without a theme.
Yeah.
Konosuba.
Yeah.
Are you like, what do I think about it in general, or
no,
does it have a theme?
What theme do you think it has?
Parody of isekai.
That could be a theme. That could be a theme, like self. That could be a theme, actually.
Because that's its goal, sort of. But I don't know if that's a theme. Maybe it doesn't have a theme.
I don't know. Maybe I think it could have a theme. I just don't think I'm the person to find it.
I mean, I don't think Mamoru Oshii would care enough to say, "Hey, Konosuba has."
Do you
no
think he
themes.
watched? Didn't you see the one thing? So it was when the Konosuba movie came out, and one of the guys who made Pulp Fiction watched it and gave it like the highest rating on Letterboxd, and he's like one of the best films I've seen in years.
Wait, which guy did this? The guy
I forget his name, but people were like, "Yo, this Pulp Fiction guy loved Konosuba film. It's valid."
All right,
I forget.
I'm gonna address this right here. I have no clue what the fuck Darling the Franxx was trying to say. Not much, to be honest. Well, I'm gonna tell you something.
Yeah.
I got some Darling the Franxx videos on my channel. Let those enlighten you. I'll tell you what it was trying to say. I'm not saying it was good. I'm just saying it was trying to say something.
There was an unfortunate message with Darling in the Franxx. I wish it didn't have themes, but it unfortunately had, themes. We just don't co-sign those themes.
Yeah, I mean,
we do not co-sign that.
I think those themes were good. The themes that it was trying to convey on paper were good.
Some of them were, but then you remember how they
execution, that wasn't there.
There is, but then there is some sus stuff to it in terms of like I can tell you later because I don't want to spoil it. But then you get to some of them and you're like,
It was trying to do something beautiful, just it didn't end up being beautiful.
Yeah. It's just like, Darling in the Franxx is one where you're like, actually, let's go back, take back the themes.
Listen, I'm not too down on it as most people, I've made my peace with it. So
yeah, we've come to terms.
Let's see. People are saying it does. Konosuba has a theme of feeling like shitty people finding their place. And I got, for Konosuba, maybe not being successful isn't too bad, and to appreciate the little things or something.
That's actually a good one. I like that because they mentioned how they were like, okay, Kazuma, are you going to go fight the Demon Lord? And he's like, fuck no, I'm going to live in my giant mansion and just chill the fuck out. And I think that's
respect.
Pretty good. Yeah, respect
Why do you
to that.
gotta be successful? You just like sometimes success is in enjoying your life.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. So I do respect that. And I wasn't even saying that as like Konosuba doesn't have themes. I was just like, I'm not sure. That's a bit more.
All right. Domestic Girlfriend is ripe with nuanced themes masterfully executed.
I wonder. I feel like it does have themes. It's just unfortunate.
That's it. It's just unfortunate. It has themes. But
it's like deconstruction. It's a deconstruction of the idea. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. It's like, no, you can miss some shots. Just miss all of the shots that you want to take if they're involving family members.
I feel like Domestic Girlfriend sacrifices its themes in favor of the scandalous moments. It's like, you know what? We could go with a theme here, or we can do this curveball. Yeah, let's do the curveball. Cliffhanger.
Didn't they have some shit with like him trying to be a writer? I think they have some themes with that.
That was the most interesting parts for me. I was like, oh, this is good. I like this part. It's like he's developing his writing. This is nice. It's like, all right, drama. He gets stabbed saving the other sister because I was like, oh my God, no.
That's like a wild one.
She's still in love with him. It's like, oh God.
I got into so many fights with Hina fans on Twitter. It's so funny. I just think the act of standing Domestic Girlfriend is such a funny thing. Like,
listen, we could just come to a consensus. Both girls are in the right. It's just the main character that sucks. That's
no. I think Hina sucks. She's like kind of really suspicious. Who are the guys she ends up getting with? A married dude and her 17-year-old student.
Okay, now I'm having flashbacks.
brother-in-law.
Yeah, no. Hina's a terrible person.
She's like kind of sus. I think
she's bad.
I think we should lock her up. I think that's
Probably.
she's a menace to society. But you know why? You know who I was when we were going over our personality type? Guess who's in our personality type?
No,
Hina.
I ignored it. I just looked away.
Our personality type is so hit or miss. I've never seen a more hit or miss personality type.
That is the personality in a nutshell, if you believe it. It's a hit or miss.
Hit or miss. Guess they never miss.
We have good days,
huh?
we have bad days.
Yeah.
Oh God. Let's see. We got. Do you think themes are necessary for a story to be acclaimed? I think we didn't talk about this.
We did not talk about it, and this is meant to get us off
specifically.
We should get off Domestic Girlfriend and onto this
quickly.
Yeah.
Do you think themes are necessary? I mean, like now, like I'm more interested in finding out if there's something that has no themes, but everything kind of inherently has themes.
Well, I think the point is that, like, for me, I think a theme can be anything that you have an emotional resonance to. It doesn't have to be like a textbook theme, so to speak, of like, a one-word theme. I think there can just be a lot of like emotional connection that's conveyed through the medium in different ways. I feel like, and that's the whole idea that like everything actually has themes, no matter how good or bad you feel they are. It's all about like how they are executed over what the actual themes are. Like
I was just looking up something. Unless we're considering a theme, as in a movie, and maybe this helps kind of contextualize it. If a movie a film, and animation is trying to send a message, convey a message, not an overall theme, but like it's actually trying to give you a message. And maybe that was Oshii's point.
Yeah.
Maybe about like society or something, like a commentary. And maybe not all things are trying to send a message. Maybe they're just trying to be cool. You can extrapolate a theme from it, but it's not really actively trying to convey that theme.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of times when like maybe you don't find there's a theme, but other people do find there's a theme at play, which happens a lot. Sometimes you just don't connect with the theme though, and I think it's fine to not connect with them. But I think
here's an example. Pulp Fiction, what's the theme? Kill Bill. Well, okay, you could
Kill Bill is a revenge thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of a thing with Pulp Fiction. I'm actually not sure what the theme is. Do you like Pulp Fiction?
Yeah, I do actually.
Okay, can you explain the theme to me? Because I liked it, but I'm not like a stan.
I love Pulp Fiction because of like all the funny like quotable moments, and it's all like little vignettes, and it all kind of connects. But like it's not the typical kind of movie I would like. I don't like stuff that's like either anthologies or self-contained or kind of like vignettes or something like that. But I think, I don't know, there's just so many cool moments that are just memorable. That's why I like it. But
it probably comes down to that last quote that Samuel L. Jackson has in the diner when he's like going against the one psycho dude, and he's like monologuing about like that made up passage or something. I forget exactly what he says, but it was something about like, I forget what he says, but it was something badass about fighting his own personal demons. I feel like that might be it, but I forget the specifics.
Like what he actually said, or when he quoted the Bible?
He quoted it, and then he elaborated on it in like this badass thing, and I think that's the theme. I just remember the feeling I got when I saw that, and I was like, yo, this is dope. Like, I've seen this whole movie full of people shooting at each other, doing badass things, but this one scene of him telling this dude who's holding up this entire diner off is like the coolest part of this film.
Yeah. Dwarfy says probably nihilism, specifically in the American dream.
That might be it. There is nihilism in the American dream is the go-to.
I don't think it was actively trying to convey that, maybe. Actually, no, I could be wrong. Because you never know. Like, maybe the director is, again, he has a personal, thing he's trying to convey, but, he puts it in, like, the package of the genre and the badass things, but there's something underneath that he's commenting on.
But I do remember that Tarantino's like, there is no subtext to my film. Like,
he did say that?
He likes saying that, like, there's no subtext. There's no, like, he's like, I say what I mean.
I just watched something on Tarantino recently, just like about his directing style, and he was talking about like it was kind of different cuts and interviews put together. So
I think I saw that on YouTube.
Yeah,
I think I saw that.
He said something along the lines of like he's very personally attached to his movies. Like he's actually trying to explore something personal he either went through or whatever, but he doesn't want you to know what that is. So he wraps it up all in this
package of like, the genre and cool things and stuff that he's actually genuinely interested in seeing in films, but it's still something that it was actually very personal to him that he's kind of, writing about in the story though. So with
I could see that.
characters. Yeah. But is that a theme? That's self-expression.
Yeah, we don't come at him. I do think the one, what is it? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that was definitely the foot fetish one.
That was I didn't watch that one. Is that
it's foot fetish indeed. Not like, I don't know.
not
kind of foot
not
fetish.
Garden of Words level?
It might be
foot
more
fetish.
than Garden of Words.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I gotta watch both.
Yeah, if we just find the foot fetish theme, and then we'll make a list of all the ones in that, and that's the theme of it.
Oh God. Okay.
The wiki feet theme.
Yeah. So I think everything kind of inherently has a theme, but I think in order to address the question of, does it have to have a theme to be successful? Was it to be successful? To be acclaimed? Yeah. So I think acclaimed, it's tough because things can be like mainstream popular, but we're talking about acclaimed. We're talking about it in a critical consensus kind of way where it's like top one on IMDb or something.
Yeah.
And I think it's not necessarily the theme. It's just, it has to hit on a universal level. Like there's got to be a universality, if I said that right, to it,
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to hit different. It has to like really resonate with you because you could have a theme of like friendship. You could just be like, friends are the theme, and maybe that's the theme of something like I don't know, like Riverdale. Like maybe Riverdale's theme is friendship, but obviously that's not hitting. Compare that to something like One Piece, where that has new meaning to it, or like I'm trying to think of another one. I don't know. I think it's almost maybe it's not the exact theme, but like in the Kite Runner, that was a book I read way too young, but that was like about different types of bonds over time and how they get challenged. Like that theme is executed very differently from Riverdale.
Yeah. Kite Runner, right?
Kite Runner was like, my dad made me read that when I was like 12, and that was like very fucked up.
I did not read that book. I never read it. It was never an assigned reading, but I found a copy of it when I was cleaning up like my last, I was cleaning up a classroom like my senior year. And I was just kind of there, and it was just by itself, whole copy of the Kite Runner, and I just took it home. And I still haven't read it.
Nice. It's a good book. I mean, I think it is. Yeah, it's a good book. I mean, I'm glad I read it. I just wish I didn't read it then. It is definitely not something you should read as a kid. It's like, yeah. I was like, Dad, why'd you make me read this? Kind of fucked up. He doesn't remember naturally. He's like, I don't think I told you to. I'm like, I'm not reading the Kite Runner at 12 because I want to, Dad.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I think I'll have to think about this more, but I think so. I might come back to this in the future, but I think the theme isn't really the main thing. It just sort of it needs to come together well with everything else. It's sort of like, it's like the movie like had all of this happen. It had very powerful moments. It made you think, and it hit on the theme, and it brought it all together. It's that whole consistency and bringing it together really well. Then it's like that's what really leaves like a lasting impression, and then that's when what actually did that really well recently in anime was Megalobox 2 with its first 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Really, really good prologue.
I'm loving Megalobox 2.
And it's all about like the themes, and it's all like really tying in and tying it back to the first season, and it's just really, really good.
I'm loving that.
How it is by the end, but
yeah. I was also thinking when you brought up a recent one, not an anime one, but Parasite. Did you see Parasite?
No. Oh, wait, the movie or the anime?
The movie.
No, I heard it's good though.
Parasite is like instant. Like watch it as soon as you can if you want. It's like ridiculously good.
Streaming service?
I think it's on Hulu.
Ah, crap. Okay.
I know it's tough because I was like, I think I rented it on Amazon, like paid money for it.
No,
and then,
I don't do that shit.
Yeah, that's a good call. I wasn't against it.
As soon as I see like I'm like, okay, please be on Prime. Please be on Prime.
Yeah,
and then I just see like the dollar sign, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, I think it's on Hulu for free now though.
Okay,
but
I am craving something to watch, so I might.
It's pretty short, all things considered. I think it's definitely one of my favorite live action films. Definitely one of the best of the past couple years. And that one, very obvious themes at play, but it's about like how they come together in such an interesting way that really make you think about it.
Yeah.
Is it on Amazon Prime? It might be on Amazon Prime. Let's check.
I'll check later.
Parasite?
Check later.
Yeah, I can. I was like, need to know.
I totally watch it. Like the only movie I paid for in recent years to own was Spider-Verse. That's it.
I need to pay for it because it's off Netflix now.
Because
I hate
was like, I want to rewatch this again in the future.
Yeah.
Like I just want to have it. So I still have it. I bought it on like iTunes or whatever, the Apple thing. Like this is a digital copy, but like a few years back. So I still have it. I forget that I have it, but I have it. So
I gotta get it. I might get the Blu-ray. I might just have it.
Like it was so nice.
Fine.
It was something that I wanted to like go frame by frame and just like watch.
Like when I got my new TV, we got this cool I've never had like good TVs. I don't know why, despite spending most of my life watching TV.
Yeah.
And I finally got like a cool 4K 60-inch on sale from like Black Friday, like dope TV. Like this is like cool TV. Finally have bragging points. The first thing I watched to show off how cool it was Into the Spider-Verse.
Nice. That's how you do it. That's how you. It looks so good in the color, you know.
Yeah, that's what it showed off because a lot of live action films don't have that color palette to show just how insane it is. So that Garden of Words, Violet Evergarden, I was watching. I'm like, yes, TV.
And I think it's that visual imagery that stays with you. Like, I mean, like the end Evangelion visuals have been haunting me for years, you know. So
it's like somehow they're always here, and then you just look at our backgrounds and you're like, yeah, or look at your background. Like wherever I go, they always find me.
Like this is the real reason why I'm an Evangelion fan. I just can't get it out of my head. It's living
everywhere,
rent free.
Everywhere I go, I see his
Anno.
face, and it's his face.
Oh God. And meanwhile he's whispering his theme all along, which is go outside.
Like,
but now
no, I won't.
that doesn't work in 2021. That's not relevant anymore. And he's still
especially 2020, he's like, go outside. It's like, I can't, bitch. I'm not allowed. Like,
I digress.
Yeah, it's so funny. I just love the image of like Anno whispering to you, go outside, and you're like, no.
we should do an in-depth I know we keep throwing out like new podcast ideas, but I'm open to it.
It is my favorite thing is throwing out podcast ideas and forgetting about them afterwards and then picking them up a day later.
You guys that are watching us, you hold us accountable. You bring it back up like, hey, you said you were gonna do that. You should do that podcast. That's how we remember, through you.
Yeah, please bully us.
It does work.
It does.
But like we should do a in-depth dive, like kind of a debrief after we watch all of Oshii's movies.
I love doing that.
Movies.
I love doing that, of like going by each work. Because on like the Tokyo Podfathers podcast, we did that for like Satoshi Kon, and we did that for Yuasa, and it was like so much fun. So I've I've seen all of Kon's stuff, and now I've seen most of Yuasa's stuff, and I sound like such an elitist because I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen Kimono Zumine. I'm such a real fan, even though I didn't like that show, so like whatever. But I feel like
I didn't like it, but
I didn't like it, kind of mid. But I was like, yeah, I'm so in my zone. So we see all the Oshii stuff, we'll be like peak elitist.
Yeah, I think
we might not want, but
I mean, at the end of the
knowledge level, big brain.
No matter how elitist we become, at the end of the day, we can't escape that we're just weebs.
Oh my God, the best title drop. Yes, we peaked.
And with that, I think we should end here.
With that, okay, bye guys.
All right, bye guys.
We're just
mic drop. Like it's over. We've run the gamut of everything we had to say.
I can't believe we got to bring up Domestic Girlfriend, Joker 2019, the Snyder Cut, and the Snyder Cut and Redline in the same conversation as Oshii. And the Kite Runner and the Scarlet Letter. So
everything all in one.
We talked about every media.
Yeah. So with that said, I think we're gonna end it here because we unless we have 50 more tangents.
No, we can say we got a post show. We can do post show tangents. But
yeah, like if you guys have any questions, stick around for the post show. Once we end here, we should just stick around for a little bit for any questions. If you're still willing to stick around,
if you're still here after all of our discussions, thank you. We appreciate you more than you know.
Yeah, definitely. So if you like the podcast, let us know by liking it, giving it that thumbs up. Leave us a comment. Let us know your thoughts on anything that we talked about regarding, themes, like what you think, constitute a theme. Is Oshii right? Is it kind of like, not that big of a deal? Do you think Anno doesn't have themes? Stuff like that. Let us know what you think. Definitely in the comments, or any podcast ideas that we threw out that you'd like to see us do. bully us into doing it. If you are not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe and help the channel grow. It's through your support that we're able to continue growing and find that motivation to keep going. Even though we're having a lot of fun. And if you're already subscribed, get more people to subscribe. And I think, by the way, if you don't like seeing us, if you want to just kind of listen to us on the go, definitely tune in to the audio podcast that usually comes out a day after the live stream on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And that's kind of it. Besides that, if you're not into Scorsese, if you're not into Marvel films, as long as you're into anime, that's all that matters. Because after all, we're just weebs.
We're just weebs.
All right. And that's that.
That was like the best title drop. We will not top that title drop. That was so organic.
Go back, edit, rip that one, put it at the end.
That might have to happen. That was so good. Of
take that whole segment, or I'll just end the podcast there.
I was freaking out with yes, we did it. I think of have you seen the Jeb Bush meme of him being the power?
No.
I'll send it to you. It's a funny meme, but that's my favorite meme, and that's just what I imagined when you said that. So it's my favorite thing.
You got to show me.
Yeah.
And, maybe I'll keep that one in mind for next time, because right here at the end I was like, shit, how do I tie this back to Just Weebs? I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, that's
it was too organic before.
It was too perfect.
I was really tempted. We should end it here. Just end the broadcast.
Do you think we'll get to a point where we can have really cool title drops and then just stop talking and be this is it? We've reached our moment?
I think once we get people accustomed to it, that this is it. Once we reach the it moment, podcast is over.
Ruth said, I appreciate Oshii for making Angel's Egg. It's a good movie to fall asleep to. So
damn. You know what's funny about that? Just that you mentioned that, and I know it's not an Oshii.
Oshii. We're having a lot of fun with his name. Tell us if we're saying it wrong.
It's not an Oshii work, but it's related. Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex was legit the anime I used to fall asleep to when I was a 12-year-old and it came on Adult Swim. So I was waiting for Inuyasha. Standalone Complex would come on first. I would listen to the opening because I like the opening, Inner Universe. And then after that, knockout. So
I feel bad because a lot of times I'll fall asleep to things and I don't mean it as an insult. I had a weird period in high school where I would fall asleep to TI music videos because that one, that channel that would play it's MTV4 and it would only play music videos. And this was back when Whatever You Like and Live Your Life would come on all the time. And I liked TI, but whenever his music videos would come on, I would fall asleep instantly.
Dude, I loved Whatever You Like. So
I love that song, and I was
know why it made you fall asleep. Was it just soothing or something?
I don't know. I have no idea. It was the funny part is I would wake up to Live Your Life, the Rihanna part, back when it had the razor and you could set the alarm to songs you bought. So I would wake up to that and then I'd come home and fall asleep to Whatever You Like whenever it's on TV. So I was T.I. is with me in the morning and afternoon, he's there everywhere.
So you would listen to him and then you just watch the music video and fall asleep.
I think now if you put on Whatever You Like, I would fall asleep. That Pavlovian response to fall asleep to T.I.
But it probably has to not be on stream because T.I. will flag us.
I would probably just fall asleep. It's not even an insult to T.I.
It's pretty funny.
Respect T.I. kind of.
Let's see. I see your meme that you sent me. Petition to make tomorrow Jeb Bush Day.
This is the one, and it's him in front of the map, and he's the power. I just think it's so funny.
All right, I'll have to look at it some more. And so, in context, how did you think that related to the title drop?
Because it was the overwhelming power of the title drop.
Okay.
I just imagine Jeb Bush in that position while hearing our title drop.
In sheer awe.
Yeah, I have it without the background, and I send that all the time.
Gotcha. Let's see. Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex is dope, better than the 1995 Oshii one. Listen, I've actually always heard that. I have a friend that loves Standalone Complex. I just think I was too young because I didn't give a shit about the political kind of bureaucratic stuff it kind of went into. I know it was philosophical, but I think it was more on the political side than the original film, and I just didn't know anything about that. So it is due for a rewatch.
Yeah, and you were probably just, it was like late at night and it just came on and you're like, I'm sleeping now.
Yeah, no, like that. Then I couldn't watch anything that made me think. You know, I was like, okay, and it's definitely stuff that I wasn't interested in. So I literally just wanted to see Inuyasha getting told by Kagome sit. You know, that's all I was signed up for.
Sometimes when you fall asleep to something, it's really nothing personal. You just happen to fall asleep to it.
I mean, there are some stuff that literally just makes you fall asleep because it's just boring. You know, that's
I have
two categories: soothing,
soothing,
boring.
Yeah.
I mean, my fiance has always told me like, your voice makes me fall asleep, and I'm like, what? That's insulting.
Yeah, do you mean that it's like a good thing, or like maybe it's like a good thing compared to like if your voice makes them like panicked or something?
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if my voice is like, my mom said at some point, she's like, your voice is very harsh, and I was like, thanks, Mom. I'm gonna wake you up to my voice now. Like,
your voice sounds like you just like running up to someone and just beating them over the head.
Well, she said it in like the most backhanded compliment way because I was like singing something, and she's like, your voice is less harsh when you sing, and I was like, fuck you, Mom. That's still not a compliment. God damn it.
Dwarfy says, I would like to bully you into doing the ARC tier list video, please. Thank you.
Yes.
No, I saw the cosign for it in the comments. Thank you for the support and wanting us to do it. It's just gonna take me a freaking while. I just entered the world of ranking my favorite characters, and that's already like a time suck. So
this is a good time. We could bring it up. Okay, would you guys want us to do this for the ARC tier list in a way that incorporates you guys to vote? Would you guys, because I had this idea and it might be too involved and or complicated for me to explain, but I was talking to Onimaru about it, and we were like, maybe we should do an ARC bracket where we ask everyone what their favorite anime manga arcs are, and then they submit it and we all vote on them, and then whichever ones get like the most amount of votes, we can like put them in a bracket, and then we have 3 votes, me, Onimaru, and then like the audience vote, and that's how we'll determine like which is the best arc.
And I think we'll do that. Actually, I was thinking we should do that really like ahead of time, like way before the podcast, so we kind of have those results. And so it gives me time if I haven't watched a certain arc or to refresh or whatever.
I'm in that boat too, because what happens when they like, I know that a One Piece arc is going to be there, like a Naruto arc, like a Bleach arc, probably. Like, we got to do the research before I just blindly vote for my favorites over everything.
Yeah, we'll prepare. We'll have the whole doc, and then then I know what I need to tackle. Because then if we have all like the best arcs in anime existence, I'll just go watch those arcs.
Yeah. On the wiki, it said this happened. I loved the screenshot of that.
Loved it. I loved the storyboarding for it according to the wiki. I loved the direction.
The song was good.
As described by the wiki. I mean, the whole song is good thing reminds me of when I finished the Beck anime and went to the manga. And then it was just like the appeal of the anime was you also got to hear the songs.
Yeah.
That they actually fully played all the songs that they were working on and they did. And then you went to the manga and they're like talking about these hype ass songs. I'm like, I can't hear it. I want to know how amazing it is.
I can't hear the notes.
I still want to know to this day what Devil's Way sounds like. It just sounded amazing. But I don't know what it sounded like.
That's sad. I think that is like definite, like with music.
They never fully adapted it, so that's the.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
I wonder if anyone ever made like fan versions of the song.
Well, how would they?
They just make like they take a shot in the dark of like what they think it would sound like, and then they just make it, and they're like, "Yo, this is it."
Dwarfy said Lane was basically NyQuil for me. Shit knocks me out instantly.
I gotta see Lane.
Lane was a mindfuck for me, and I'm an Evangelion fan.
I did hear Lane was very dense, so I'm excited to see it.
It's due for a rewatch. It's a 3 out of 10 in my book for now.
It's a 3 out of 10?
Yeah.
Fuck Lane. You're like, we do not love Lane on this podcast.
No, it's due for a rewatch. I need to give it another fair shot. I watched it in the time period where I wasn't into Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, so that's sort of like same,
What do you have higher, Darling in the Franxx or Lane?
Shit, my scores don't make sense. No.
I just realized that. I was like, wait a minute.
That's what I hate about like not having a scoring system figured out, because there's just so much hypocrisy. Like once you like rate something so low, and then you're like, oh, I'm not that down bad on this one, and then it's like, oh wait a minute. Make sense.
People like give you like it's always funny when people like give you shit for like a 5 out of 10 and they're like, I hate this or I love this, and you're like, look, I just really don't care. I'm sorry, I just don't care enough.
I think I gave Darling in the Franxx a 6 out of 10.
That's so generous of you.
I think I'm pretty generous. I need to get like meaner. I'm gonna work.
You gotta
like,
get mean.
My goal for the year, guys. I'm gonna get meaner. So
New Year's resolution.
Bully me into getting meaner.
Bully me. I like these. Emerald has some interesting comments.
I'm looking at 1 second. I'm looking up my Darling in the Franxx score. I want to just see if I scored it. I'm just looking it up real quick.
You bet you
yeah,
did.
I legit gave it a 6.
Oh my god.
Wait, let me look up Lane. Hold on 1 second.
I want to comment. Emerald said, "Do you guys have any anime older than 1995 in your favorites, or manga older than 1985?" I still have to watch a lot of older series because I'm like I keep being like, everyone watch older series.
You know what I also want to do? Interestingly, I don't know if it would work for a podcast, if you'd be down, or maybe it could be like a thing where we identify all the anime you've watched from each decade. So how much you're missing out on, how much you watched from each decade. Because I did that recently with my Journey to Top 50 video, and I was going through like legit every season, and I found out it was really interesting to find out I did not watch as many from the 90s as I thought. I watched a lot of the iconic shows, and it felt like I watched a lot, but in reality, it wasn't as much from the 90s and 80s. And 70s even more than I thought. So
I'm messing up. I'm messing up like older stuff, even though I'm a big like old head supporter. So I think the oldest anime I have in my favorites is Akira, which is like a boring pick, but I still think Akira is like the Akira. I'm just saying it so weirdly. What's wrong with me? Akira. I think it's the best looking anime anything. I think it's my favorite aesthetic. I think it has the best animation. I will
it's a
fight.
Favorite for you? It's in the top 100 or in the top
25? 25? Yeah, it's not on my Mal, but I guess I'll use AniList for this because
let's see. I mean, I have Dragon Ball in my favorite, so that counts.
Yeah, that counts.
Somewhere in my top 50. Dragon Ball Z. So that's still Dragon Ball Z. That's still kind of 80s, and then Ranma 1/2, 89.
Yeah.
So.
I like the aesthetic for old. The first pronunciation was right. Yes, Akira. Yes, I did it.
It's interesting. So I didn't read the whole thing. It's a cool elitist thing to have. It's interesting that having anime older than 1995 in your favorites is a cool elitist thing to have. I love retro works, but I just saw them as regular anime. I don't feel like a lot of people view it that way and see retro anime as its own genre.
Same. Okay. I see Cell differently because that's what we grew up with. Like I put on Cardcaptor Sakura, and I think for some people it's just like the aesthetic or like older magical girl series, and I'm just like, nope, this is my childhood, this is the coolest thing of all time, like let's jam.
I see people do that with Sailor Moon too, like it's like a 90s aesthetic, and
it's an aesthetic. I'm like, whoa, holy shit, my childhood's an aesthetic now. Didn't feel like that back then.
I was with friends last night bitching about the Sailor Moon anime and saying the manga's better, so
that's definitely an elitist thing, but probably correct.
No, but I do hear that the manga like really like the anime, the 90s anime didn't stick to it as much, and the manga like made more sense.
I could see that.
The new Sailor Moon movies that are coming out look amazing.
I haven't seen the new one. The new one, like the eyes were kind of weird to me.
The trailer for the new ones
okay.
that are coming out. It's Sailor Moon Eternal.
Ooh, I gotta check.
It looks amazing.
I'm gonna check it out. I'll probably do like a whole Sailor Moon season because I loved the original series. I tried to go back and watch it in dub because that's how I originally saw it, and it's so cringe that I might have to just go do sub for it.
Do it. Be an elitist.
I think I have to. It just some of it is like kind of painful with her early on being a huge crybaby. She's what people say Shinji is.
Really?
Yeah, she's like an actual crybaby. She's just like. And
I heard she's better in the manga.
I could see that.
Yeah, like she actually does stuff, and
but she's kind of a loser in general, and that's kind of the point of her, which is kind of fun. But it's funny because I remember Anno saying that he wanted Misato to kind of be like grown up Sailor Moon, but like still a loser. So I always like and they have the same voice actress, yeah. Huh. And since they have the same voice actress, it works really well. So it is kind of like, okay, this is grown up Sailor Moon still being an absolute loser.
All right, Golden Age, best arc / flashback. You are right. That's it.
It's definitely top 4 for me, which sounds like a snob thing to say, but I love it a lot.
I don't know where it ranks for me, but it is hands down my favorite arc in Berserk, and actually, I don't know, one of the most well done arcs.
It's the first one you thought of when we said best arc, so I think that's fair. I've seen Golden Age. in 3 different versions of Berserk, and they all hit.
Let's see. Ashita no Joe.
I gotta see that.
Me too. That's on my list for, a direct, part of seeing an acclaimed director's work, seeing a classic, seeing something that's older than, the 80s.
If Ashita no Joe has any semblance to Megalobox Season 2, then it's probably just a 10.
Yeah.
It probably will be anyway. I heard his laugh, and it's so funny.
Heard what?
Joe's laugh. It's the funniest thing I've seen. I gotta send you a link. It's so funny.
Shaw needs to catch up to Vinland for the Arcs video.
Farmland.
The agenda.
Farmland season. I have the you guys got the Vinland Saga over here. I'm gonna start reading it paperback and just catch up.
You're caught up on the manga or no?
I'm not. I'm like halfway through Farmland and I don't know why I stopped. There's no good reason.
80s anime are dope aesthetic wise. I'm just like really catching up here. The first Fist of the North Star. Okay. Cardcaptor Sakura is GOAT. Actually, one of my favorite movies is the second Cardcaptor Sakura movie. It's like one of the few.
It's so cute.
It is actually the only Cardcaptor Sakura thing I own on DVD.
It's so cute. I love it.
Movie. Love that show.
And what's it? Yeah, GOAT. The next one is asking, can you watch Cardcaptor Sakura again and still give a high score? Fuck yeah. That'll make me give it a higher score.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think I ever watched the whole show in its entirety, actually. Yeah. So I think
it's pretty, like, it holds up really well. I watched it again in high school and it was like still hit.
Yeah, I've watched it in English. I've watched it in Spanish. It's good.
Yeah, Cardcaptor GOAT. It does not get bad over time. It holds up very well. Unlike original Sailor Moon for me.
Yeah. Ashita no Joe is an easy 10. I haven't read the manga though. I just watched the anime. But what I hear is that the anime is like really good. So I think you're good if you just watch the anime.
Maybe do both. Be super, super woke. What do you think of wait, I do like that. What do you think of Falcon of the Millennium Empire over Golden Age?
Where is that?
That's the comment above.
I don't see it.
You don't see it? It's like I see it like right above. Dwarfy said it.
I am one of those people that have. Oh, see, I didn't get the abbreviation, so.
Oh, that's right. Understandable. Falcon of the Millennium Empire is a bit of a mouthful of an abbreviation.
Yeah, it just reminded me of Star Wars. Which one was that?
That's the one that's like after Conviction, where Griffith is reborn, and then they have like the big war. I think what's tough with that is that's kind of like the majority of the manga, so that's just kind of like so many chapters that so many small arcs fit into that. That's when like what's her name, like the mini witch, she's like introduced, and then they like
people have problems with her.
Do they? What?
I don't know. No, but when I was reading the manga, people just didn't like her and the whole arc with her and all that stuff. They just felt like.
I think I could definitely see Falcon of the Millennium Empire love. I just think it's kind of tough because it's like there's so many smaller arcs in it and some of them are like not that great for me. Well, not like bad, just not that good.
I don't know. I feel like nothing in Berserk afterward, and I'm not caught up, but I got like to 330, 340 at the time. So, well, far enough in. And nothing really kind of reached what I really liked about Golden Age. After that, it was interesting. But I think like Guts was just understandably a former shell of himself. So I was like, all right. And it didn't really start to pick up for me or get interesting for me again until he met the little witch and they started to have that dynamic and he was kind of coming back a little. And I was like, okay, I like this. But it still wasn't like reaching that Golden Age peak for me.
Yeah. Well, to me,
because it's the
Berserk. It's in the title. For me, like Berserk is the dynamic between Guts and Griffith. So like that is the series. Like that is like the thing that resonates with me that makes me find it so interesting. So when it's like one of them or, they're apart and not really interacting, it doesn't really hit as much for me.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just kind of tough. I mean, I don't think I would say it like falls off after Golden Age. I just don't think I just think Golden Age is so perfectly executed and conceived that I think it's just kind of tough to reach those heights. And the one thing I do like a lot that's not in Golden Age that I think is close to that level is the Lost Children arc in Conviction. I love that a lot. That's the one with like that's the one with the small girl and the town and like her friends ran away and they're like the bat bug people. It happens like right after Golden Age.
I don't remember.
Okay, I'll send you some screenshots. I think you'd recognize it.
Yeah, well, listen, when we do the arc video, I'm gonna have to refresh on all of this, so it's
Yeah.
gonna happen. Soul Society, second greatest arc. I don't care what anyone says. You know, funny thing, I was watching the Bleach openings last night, all of the Bleach openings. It just was on YouTube, and I was going through the second opening, and I'm like, man, this second opening was by Overworld was so good. Soul Society was just really.
I haven't
good.
seen it. I'm excited to see it or read it.
That was another thing I did in high school. I got my English teacher, club moderator, into Bleach, and so he started collecting the volumes, and he like loved Soul Society. Yeah,
you're like the you know, in Monster, I was recently looking this up as a meme. You know when Johan gives like, it's like Johan shows up and he's handing some dude money and he's like, "Go buy your drugs with this."
Yeah.
The one screenshot. That's like you with anime. You're like, go buy Bleach with this.
like here's Evangelion. Go watch it.
I just like need to see. We should do a clip of like you walking up to some homeless man on the street and being like, handing them a Blu-ray, be like, "Go watch this."
Yeah. Yeah. Dwarfy says, this is to me. If you're only at chapter 340, I would suggest you catch up if you're a fan of Golden Age. A lot of payoff from this arc occurs very recently. I don't know, man. The long wait between chapters, I'm just letting it build up. Like Hunter x Hunter, I'm letting that build up, you know?
So is Togashi. He's letting it. He's like, I'll just wait it. I'll just wait for it to build up over 10 years, whatever.
Like the it's not even a weekly wait. It's like the yearly wait. I'm good. It pains me. Because then I have to actively forget about that thing's existence. So I'm able to move on, to then remember it again, to then forget it again. Yeah. All right. So I think
everyone is down for the ARC tournament arc.
I think it needs to
ARC
happen,
tournament arc.
It needs a lot of prep.
We do. So we'll need people to help us out, bully us into it, and then eventually participate.
Yeah. I think Dwarfy brings up a good example here. It's so hard to have arcs for some of my favorite shoujo. Often it's really hard to break down the story into concise arcs. Nana, for example, is so hard to break down into arcs.
I don't know. Does Nana have arcs? I guess it does. I just tend to go by openings sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard because, like, I wonder if, like, do I guess authors decide the arcs and then name their arcs, or is that, like, more of a fan thing sometimes? Where
I think it can go either way. I do think some authors name it when it's more clear cut.
Yeah.
But like a lot of times it's like the chapter titles. But I don't know. I think it's definitely tougher with like shoujo and like I don't know, what is it? Continuous stories.
Yeah. Anime I have to refresh on now though is Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter, because I was told last night that one doesn't live up to the other, so I'm like, all right, I gotta confirm that.
New friends time. My sis, I need a new sister.
That's so savage.
Okay, but I'd say that about
such an offhand, like you just moved on to the next thing.
Okay,
like,
but you said, don't worry, it's not just your friends. I was on vacation with my sister and my fiance. They both have seen Hunter x Hunter, and they both like. My fiance more respect. I think he respects the Chimera Ant arc, but they're both like, yeah, we have to rewatch Hunter x Hunter, and they're like, but we'll skip parts of the Chimera Ant arc, and I'm just like glaring daggers at both of them. And then Scott, my sister, was like, oh, it was like not that good, and I'm like, no, don't say that to me. And she's like, okay, it's well written, but not fun. And I'm like, okay, that's like slightly better, but not good. But like, we need to work on this.
I mean, to be fair, I made my fiance watch all of Hunter x Hunter a long time ago, and she just wasn't attached for it. She didn't care for it. And I was like, I didn't get it. And like, but she loves Yu Yu Hakusho, so
there is something to be said that I think Yu Yu Hakusho is a lot more.
Yu Yu Hakusho is a lot more fun. It's easier to attach to them just because I feel like they're ever present mostly, as opposed to Hunter x Hunter, where it's like Leorio gets top billing. But
that is like a thing. I think the cast and Yu Yu Hakusho is a lot more grounded. It's a lot more about like fights, excitement, and I think Hunter x Hunter is a lot less fights and a lot more adventure. Also, Yu Yu Hakusho has teenage cast, like 16-year-old teenage, and they like curse and they like, Yusuke is just a ball of sass, and then Gon I think can be tough to get behind if you're not into like enthusiastic people. But Hunter x Hunter has Killua, so no one has any excuse. They're all
Yeah. I mean, I'm just happy that the one friend I was talking to about this that wasn't feeling the Chimera Ant arc, he's a fellow Hisoka stan. So we were just
Hisoka.
like, yeah.
Hisoka is great. That's also some of the reasons that people don't like Chimera Anta's mark is because Hisoka's not there.
That's what he's mad about. That's what he's
But
mad about. He's like, this guy likes to fight powerful people. Why isn't he here?
Yeah.
This is
but
it.
It's funny though because they bring that up in the next arc, which is like kind of funny. But
I can't wait. So
I think it was funny because my fiance, I didn't know if he would like Hunter x Hunter. I thought that was like up in the air for him.
Yeah.
But he watched it. He is a Killua and Hisoka stan. Killua is his favorite character. He's seen in all of the anime for me. He loves him. He's like, this is our son. And I'm like, we're cool. We're jointly adopting Killua. We made the decision.
I think that's relationship goals right there. That's definitely,
yeah.
You know,
I didn't think he would like him that much either. I knew he would like Hisoka. I knew that would be the winner, but I didn't think he'd like Killua as much.
And then we got Amruth here with a hot take. Arcs are overrated on Twitter. A lot of stories don't have arcs.
I think that's true in general. I don't think you need an arc to be a good story.
Listen, Monogatari is all about the arcs.
True, but I think, yeah, I guess true. Okay, what's your favorite mono arc?
Let's save that for another discussion.
Oh, we're gonna clickbait them. Yay. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think that deserves its own maybe podcast. I don't know.
Ooh.
Or maybe it'll just be part of the arc
tournament arc.
Tournament arc.
I think it sounds so funny, but if it sounds bad, anyone can bully me out of saying it. But I think arc tournament arc sounds so funny.
Arc X
ATA.
Arc. Yeah. No, Arc X Arc.
Arc
X Arc, but we just don't pronounce the X. Arc.
I can't wait for the Gintama arcs to make it, and then it's like, guess who's watching 300 episodes in preparation? Let's go.
Jesus Christ!
Guess who's
wicking 300 episodes in preparation and only coming on for the action arcs?
Yeah,
watching those.
That would be fun. That would be pretty funny.
ATA arc tournament arc.
It's a mouthful, but I think it's funny. But it might be one of those things that I find funny, but no one else does. And they're like, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not happening.
It's not happening. Let us know in the comments if, Shaw's version of fetch is happening or if it's not happening. I think we're going to end it here.
Yeah.
All right.
I think the arc is over. Bully us into more podcasts.
Yeah. We are open to ideas. We will do them eventually, depending on your insistence. And it works. Yeah. It does work.
And thank you everyone for chatting with us. I enjoy doing our pre and post shows.
Yeah, these are fun.
That's where our hot takes show up that we can't bring up in a standard time. This is like off the cuff.
Yeah, when we loosen up, let the guard down, and no one's watching anymore.
No.
So we could say controversial stuff, and then you find out that's the part that's clipped and then put on Twitter.
Yeah. Panic is still trying to get me back for bullying him because he feels like he is still being over bullied for the Attack on Titan Jeopardy thing.
I mean, you are a bully.
He's bullying me too. He turned me into a meme. He turned me into that meme, and that was really funny.
We need more Shaw memes. Anyways, guys, we'll catch you later.
Bye. Have a good day.
See you guys.